All right, folks, we are live. Welcome back to Pangburn. Well, we are very close. Actually, let me share this quickly. There we go. All right, rock and roll. Okay, good. What up, y'all? We are very close to making our way back to London. It's going to be Constantine Kissin versus Destiny. I'm excited. It's going to be awesome. Today we're going to be running virtue scorecards. If you're not familiar with the Pangburn virtue scorecards, this is a new system I've developed to be able to run analyses on individuals, systems, whatever you want really by the standards of the Pangburn virtues and maxims. You can do comparative analysis to other systems. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun to play with that, and we're going to run some more comparisons today. Anyone on Discord who wants to jump in to the chat with me, feel free to just raise your hand and I'll bring some people up. And we're going to run a bunch of different people, but we are going to start with running Jordan Peterson versus Sam Harris. Who is more virtuous in your mind based on your assessment? And when I say virtuous, I am just referring to having high moral standards. So based on your own moral standards, who has higher moral standards, Sam Harris or Jordan Peterson? That's who we're going to be running first today through the system. And I hope you guys drop some ideas of who you want to hear analyzed today. We did a whole bunch last live stream. It was a lot of fun. We ran people like Richard Feynman, who scored very high. Neil deGrasse Tyson scored extremely high based on the Pangburn virtues and maxims. If you're not familiar with what they are, fallibilism, well-being, communication, light-heartedness, patience, and inspiration. Those are the 6 Pangburn virtues, and they each have corresponding maxims, which we will get to when we start working through all this. What's up, Mace?
Hello.
How's it going?
Cool, I guess. How's it going for you?
Doing really good. I'm going to be meeting you in person soon. That's pretty cool. I've known you for quite a few years now.
Yeah, don't make it gay.
I'm going to make it so gay. I'm going to reach right for your crotch the first thing I do.
Oh dear.
You better have security. Okay, let's run this. Let's get into it. Mace, I want to hear your predictions. Since you're in the room, I'm going to force you to make predictions as we go through this. Oh my God. Yes. Tetra just said Jesse Lee Peterson. We have to run Jesse Lee Peterson through the virtue scorecard system today. I am desperate to know what he will score. So Tetra said right off the bat, Peterson is a 2 out of 10 based on their virtues and ethical standards. Sam Harris, a 9 out of 10. Oh, this is just based on their rhetorical performances. Okay, fair enough. When you guys write your scores down, if you're not using the Pangburn virtues and maxims to analyze whoever we're analyzing, let us know what you do use. What metrics do you use to measure goodness, the good life, wisdom in the world? Let me know in the comment section, because I really am curious about this. By the way, we just ran Hitler, and Hitler got a whopping 0.4 out of 10. He got a 0 for fallibilism, 0 for well-being, 0 communication, 0 patience. He got 0.5 out of 10 for light-heartedness. If you want to see like the justifications on the front and the back of the scorecard, that one we just posted in the Discord server. By the way, if you're not part of our Discord server yet, please join us. I'm going to give you an invite to our server, and I'm going to pin that. Boom, boom, boom. Join us on Discord here. Pin.
How many people are watching?
What's that?
How many people are watching?
So far 11. We just turned it on, so hopefully we get a few more. That would be cool, but if not, that's cool too. This is a great way for us to make some extra content. So let's go. Now,
Yeah, I think Jordan Peterson's more virtuous
okay.
because I've read some things about Sam Harris from multiple sources that would suggest off stage he's a bit of a bully and he's more interested in money than like actually spreading ideas.
Okay, fair enough. Well, we'll go through each. Michael says Peterson is a 10 out of 10 for bigotry. That doesn't sound like bigotry. Okay, so let's run. Why don't we run Jordan Peterson first, and then we'll go now by the standards of the Pangburn virtues and maxims. Mace, I think you're somewhat familiar with them. Where do you think Jordan Peterson's going to score overall? So again,
this is a scale of 1 to 10, is it?
Yeah, it's a scale of 1 to 10. We will assign a letter grade at the end, but yeah, so it's going to be fallibilism based on the maxim certainty is almost certainly unattainable. The virtue of well-being, maximize well-being for yourself and those around you. Communication, good faith and helpfulness are the minimum requirements for fruitful dialectic. Patience, ultimate patience even in the face of detestable ideas. Light-heartedness, refine and express your sense of humor. And inspiration, let art and science inspire. And the inspiration virtue is measured by how inspired the individual or the system, whatever we're analyzing, how inspired that whatever we're analyzing is by art and science. So that's
well,
what
if we're going to say 5 is average, then I would probably guess Peterson to be like 7 or 8.
I would say a 6. So a 6.5 to 7 would be an average score. Just to put that into perspective a little bit.
That's such a weird number to go for.
That's just after running hundreds of these analyses. That's kind of what it's looking like. The average score ends up in that range.
Okay, you meant in that. Okay, yeah. In that case, then I'm going to say 8 or 9.
Okay.
8.5.
8.5. You're going to say for Peterson overall. Okay. Interesting. Okay, let me know if you guys have an overall score, but we are going to do fallibilism first. So, fallibilism for Peterson. So when it comes to fallibilism, Mace, like it's going to have to do with like how certain does Jordan Peterson present his ideas? Does he present his ideas in a dogmatic fashion, or does he present his ideas more on the side of like defeasibility, open to update? What has your experience been when listening to Jordan Peterson? Do you think he's a pretty open-minded person with, fallibilism being the idea that anything you believe could be incorrect? Do you think he's a fallibilist?
Well, when he presents his ideas, he does do so with I guess confidence and authority. Like it does seem like he thinks he knows the answers. But then on the other hand, when other people are speaking to him, he does stop and listen to them. Like, he actually does care what other people have to say.
Yeah,
So,
that's actually, you bring up a really good point. That someone who actually engages in conversations with people who hold ideas that he detests, and he's able to have somewhat, well, I would say good faith and somewhat helpful conversations with even people who, you know, he is so different than when it comes to his ideological structure and his belief system. So I mean, yeah, I think that's a really good point. So let's go through what the analysis is telling us. Let me know what you guys think Jordan Peterson should get for a score on fallibilism. Drop the score out of 10. Try to keep in mind, when you do this, remove your particular biases, because this is a full body assessment of him as a thinker. And when you do give your score, try to give some of your reasoning, because again, I'm very much interested in how you reason and come to your scores. So Robin drops a 6.4. I mean, a 6.4 is a little bit, it's a bit below where I would like to see people when it comes to fallibilism. Obviously, in an ideal world, which is not the world we live in, I would love to see people around a 8.5. That's like where Carl Sagan sits. But I know that's unrealistic to ask that of people, but I would love to see that general mean go up in society. Fallibilism is a necessary epistemic constraint. It's a necessary constraint on knowledge. So many things can go wrong if you are not enacting fallibilism. If fallibilism if you are not practicing fallibilism, if you're not allowing it to penetrate your epistemic standards, you're almost certainly going to fall into dogmatism at some level. So fallibilism with the Pangburnian corresponding maxim that certainty is almost certainly unattainable is meant to be the annihilator of dogmatism. That's the purpose of the first virtue and maxim. And the reason why it's the first virtue and maxim and not well-being first is because you must be fallibilistic about everything, including your ethical standards, because better standards might come along, right? Including a better standard than fallibilism. So yes, it is true that you must be fallibilist about fallibilism. Okay, sorry. We'll try to move through this. Okay, here's the analysis. Peterson frequently emphasizes the limits of knowledge, the complexity of truth, the dangers of ideological certainty, the need for humility in belief formation. He often frames truth as something approached through narrative, symbolism, and science. He critiques ideological dogmatism on both left and right. However, critics argue that some of his positions are presented with strong conviction. I would totally agree with that. Some statements in political or cultural debates appear more certain than his philosophical framing would suggest. This is why he gets labeled as a demagogue sometimes by people, and sometimes a dogmatist in some areas and topics that he delves into. So supporting behaviors for fallibilism would be frequent warnings about ideological possession. That's a great thing. Emphasis on uncertainty and complexity in lectures, psychological framing of belief systems. That's all great stuff. Now, the non-supporting behaviors would be strong moral and cultural prescriptions in some contexts, confident claims in political discussions. So the summary is he's got strong fallibilist themes, though sometimes mixed with confident ideological claims. So this analysis says 7.8 out of 10 for fallibilism for Jordan Peterson. And I agree with this analysis. I actually do think Jordan does practice fallibilism to a reasonable / strong level. And I think, and I think like, yes, if you look at the clips that, let's say, his detractors pick to make fun of Jordan Peterson and things like that, yeah, he's out of control in those clips. Like, he's completely out of control. But you have to imagine Jordan Peterson, the Harvard lecturer, the university lecturer, and you know, the whole body of his work. And I think, you know, when we look at the entire body of his work, I am satisfied with his fallibilist nature. What do you think, Mace? 7.8?
Yeah, I was going to say 7.5. So.
Oh, okay. I forgot to get your number. Sorry about that. Let me just grab some water quickly because my mouth is dry as fuck. Everyone here, please smash the like button. We're going to be doing virtue scorecards like this very often on the channel. This is a place where you can come to share your ethical standards and measure all kinds of different characters and systems. Real world characters who are living and breathing today, people of the past, movie characters, Star Wars, Harry Potter. We'll go through a lot of it, and we'll have a lot of fun with this. I think it's very important for people to be able to articulate their epistemic and ethical standards and talk about them in this way. I think these conversations are of a very high value. But I'll be right back, and then we'll move on to well-being for Jordan Peterson. By the way, if you can make it... Oh, hey, Thomas joined us. Yay. What's up, Tommy T? Anyone who wants to join us? Brett, Robin, let's invite to speak. Barry, I'm not going to say your full name. You guys can join us up here. Jordan Peterson. We're on to well-being, Thomas. Jordan Peterson got a 7.8 out of 10 for fallibilism, nice. Which I thought was pretty fair. What do you think about that?
About Jordan? You said Jordan again? Sorry.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson just got a 7.8 out of 10 for fallibilism.
On fallibilism?
Yeah. Seems high.
I mean, if I were to show him evidence that, like hard evidence, he would sit down with me for days, and I could show him the evidence of why Jungian psychology was cool back then, but it is not useful and interlockable with neuroscience now. There are new modern psychodynamic and psychoanalytic theories today that have nothing to do with that. So if I could sit him down and show him all that, which I'm sure he would know a good decent amount of it, then I would imagine he might change his mind. I don't know though. I don't know if anyone's ever done that with him.
I want like. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Like, so much of this is out of date, and it's probably the strongest critique towards his lecture series, especially his Harvard lecture series.
I just think postmodernism is a bit too simple. I mean, I'd just be like, hey, dude, quit stealing postmodern ideas, and then second, you're not a postmodernist.
Yeah, for sure. So we are analyzing people who are stopping by. We are analyzing Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson by the standards of the 6 Pangburn virtues and maxims. But also we are analyzing Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson by your own standards, whether they be virtues, whether they be your ethical standards, your epistemic standards. As a part of the process of my book, this scorecarding that we're doing is playing a really important research role for my upcoming book. So for anyone who can, throw some information out there, let us know how you go about analyzing and, let's say in this case, scoring or giving a letter grade to Jordan Peterson and Sam Harris for different ways of analyzing them. And today, I will be using the 6 Pangburn virtues and maxims and asking people to give guesses based on those principles. But I want to hear how all of you go about analyzing systems and people and characters based on your own epistemic and ethical standards. So, okay, we did fallibilism, 7.8 out of 10. Now, think hard about Jordan Peterson's life. Again, try to remove and cut as much bias as you can. Oh yeah, sorry, Severin, you're talking about the thumbnail. Yeah, the thumbnail is just there to remind people that we are coming to London at the end of this month, February 28th. I think the most important political discussion in the last 25 years is going to happen between Destiny and Konstantin Kisin. As we get closer to the date, I'm going to tell you exactly why I believe that. But I believe this is, Jordan Peterson versus Sam Harris 2.0, these two guys. I think they're very important. Their followers they're growing a lot of followers really quickly. I think there's a lot of give and take that's going to happen between them in this political discussion. So I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, the thumbnail is just to remind everyone who might see the live stream. Okay, so well-being. Maximize well-being for yourself and those around you. That is the Pangburn maxim to go along with the Pangburn virtue of well-being. Okay, what do you guys think? Just feel free to unmute and shout it out of 10. The entire collection of Jordan Peterson's public life, where do you think he sits by a well-being standard score? Go ahead.
10.
Okay, May says 10.
8.2.
8.2? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And, okay, this is interesting. 10, 8.2. These are very high scores. What do you think, Thomas, for well-being?
Say the person again. I was reading. I'm so sorry.
We're stick with us, buddy. We're live.
I'm so sorry.
We're doing well-being for Jordan Peterson.
Oh, Jordan. We're still on Jordan. I thought we switched. I apologize.
Yeah,
well-being? Okay, richest public intellectual in history, right? Is that correct?
I think when it comes to at least how much he has amassed purely as a speaker and intellectual, I don't think anyone has done what he has done, to be honest.
I don't think so either. Yeah, I don't either. Obviously, he is attempting in his own way to spread what he thinks is well-being. And I'm sure a lot of it aligns with what the medical world thinks is well-being, which is what we talk about.
Right.
So I don't know, man. Because there's a lot of not well-being or moving away from well-being from a lot of the things that he,
Well, yeah. Let's also think, Thomas. And you bring up such a good point. Let's think about him promoting an all-meat diet, right, to the world.
Yes. That's problematic.
So we got that being problematic by medical health standards, general.
If I do more of his stances, besides the philosophical, I don't know of any of his political stances. So that's where the well-being is going to be calculated at that layer, and I just don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. If you had to throw a number out there, because we're all going to be so ignorant on so many.
I'll put 7.5. I don't think he's promoting anything horrible. I'd say I'll say 7. Let's say 7.
Okay, 7 for Thomas. Do you have a score there, Brett?
Could you help me out just real quick and give me a little barometer on your
Sure. So well-being by the Pangburnian standard means physical, mental, and social health. So and the corresponding maxim is maximize well-being for yourself and those around you. So maximize physical, mental, and social health for yourself and those around you. How much is Jordan Peterson enacting this in the world? Do his behaviors mirror this, and does he, for the most part, and then falls off the wagon with particular issues? But when we're judging the general scope and picture of the man, where do you think he would fall when it comes to well-being? Keeping in mind that he does have a clinical psychology background,
Yeah, definitely. I would say that I would rate him higher for the social aspect, and what was one physical, you said?
Physical, mental, and social health.
So physical and social, I might weigh him in higher just because I think that some of his advice is pretty good, and it talks about just like, you know, stuff that, like you said, he has rooted in his psychological studies. With the mental part, the part I run into with trouble is the religious part.
Right.
Just because I think there's too much of an emphasis on, you know, concepts that are great for storytelling, but they're not actual history.
Well, so that's more of a that's more of an epistemic gripe you have there.
Okay.
However,
Gotcha.
You know, and it's not that our epistemic standards don't affect well-being. Of course they do. Like, if we're ignorant on something, that can cause us to do the worst kind of crap, like promoting an all-meat diet to everyone.
That's not good. Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to be able to demonstrate that these non-historical things you think he's promoting are actually causing harm that could be measured by a medical professional.
You know, and that's
okay. I see your point.
Yeah, that's an interesting way about going about this calculus. There's so many things to consider, and that's why scoring like this must, especially when we're looking at a big general picture, it must be taken with a big fat grain of salt, right? Because most of the time in practice in our lives, we're not judging people based on the general output of their life. Like if Jordan Peterson was to, you know, come out tomorrow and just, you know, go really hardcore on the line of like, we must start circumcising every human being, girl, boy, woman, man. Like let's say he went on this big circumcision binge and he was just running that through society. I would have a massive problem with that, right? But that wouldn't necessarily weigh so heavy in the overall general picture of Jordan Peterson. So
sure. Okay, knowing that, I'd probably agree with Thomas in the 7 to 7.5 range, give or take.
Fantastic. Well, great scoring there, Brett. You're right on the money. So is Thomas. Everyone was pretty close. I think Robin and Mace was much too heavy by these standards. A 10 is a very extreme score, but so 7.4 out of 10 is what my system is telling me. And what my system does, by the way, it goes through all available public speeches and interviews online, all available books and lectures, all available academic career stats and publications, and broad stroke reputational patterns. And of course, all scores are fallibilist, provisional, and based on large-scale behavioral patterns rather than isolated incidents. Because like the Dalai Lama, for example, got an extremely high score, and Barry here pointed out, like, what about that weird tongue-sucking thing when he was, you know, he asked that kid to suck his tongue when he was just trying to be playful with the kid. That was a really weird cultural faux pas that people didn't know how to deal with it. But how much would that one moment weigh into the general score? Well, part of that is going to be how he deals with that particular issue. And if you look at the evidence of the situation, he states and his office states that he didn't mean any harm at all within his own cultural context. That is a joke and a playful thing to do with kids, even though it might be culturally shocking to other people. And of course, me as a moral well-beingist, I don't think kids should be sucking the tongues of anybody. You know, so like, yeah, if we look at that isolated incident, he gets that was a bad failing grade for well-being. But we got to look at the totality of the person's life, at least when we're doing these general assessments. So, I mean, yeah, I agree with the system score of 7.4 for Jordan Peterson's well-being. And here are the justifications by the analysis. Peterson's work is heavily oriented towards personal responsibility, meaningful life structure, psychological resilience, moral development. His books and lectures have helped many individuals improve their lives, encourage self-discipline, purpose, and responsibility. However, critics argue some of his rhetoric contributes to political polarization. I think that's correct. Some positions on social issues are seen as harmful by opponents. Yeah, like, his a lot of his anti-trans rhetoric, for example, I find to be deplorable. But again, a lot of people, let's say, who are affected heavily by people who spread rhetoric like that are probably going to err on the side of scoring that lower. But again, it can be really hard to remove your bias from this, to do a really thorough, honest general analysis by your own standards. Go ahead, Thomas. Oh, I thought you unmuted.
I wouldn't say anything. No, I wouldn't say anything. Let me mute, because it may be like coming through. I have a speaker. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so
I was going to ask
yeah,
something about it. So, with regards to his views on like trans stuff,
yeah.
do you think the views he's expressed on that issue have caused demonstrable harm to anyone that measured?
Yeah, I think so. Like like many members like who are trans allies, which I would say everyone should be, and people who are trans themselves are going to be feel the negative effects from a mental health perspective of this negativity being espoused in the public square. That doesn't mean I think that it shouldn't be allowed. I think it very much should be allowed, but I think this is something I would fight against and caution people. And once we get to the communication virtue, which is actually next, we will analyze like how well does Jordan Peterson rely on standards of good faith and helpfulness when communicating to the world and communicating to himself as well. But I do think that, yes, someone as powerful as Jordan Peterson in the public square, when he says something about like, don't cut your penis off, or like stuff like this, highly insensitive to people who have gone through transitional therapies and different things. So whether you feel strongly like Jordan Peterson surely does that, trans people are causing themselves harm by going about expressing themselves in the way that some of them do, it's important as from a Pangburnian perspective to be conscientious about other people's well-beings when you are stating your particular disagreements. Just like how, I used to be someone that would basically just piss in the face of somebody's religious belief and kind of make fun of them when I was much younger for it, with very little conscientiousness. And one thing that didn't play at all into being convincing in any way when trying to air my epistemic gripes with people's religious belief. And it was actually bad for me to do that because of how unconscientious it was and how it hurt people. People would tell me directly, that actually does hurt my feelings when you talk about this particular issue that way. And I think people's feelings do matter. They should be considered. It doesn't mean that all the time when people say that to you, they're actually being genuine. So yes, when it comes to good faith, helpful communication, you have to be a judge of whether or not someone's just forcing their belief on you and trying to take advantage of you. But I think as a moral well-beingist, you must be conscientious of your communication and how it might affect others. And I do believe that some of the things Jordan Peterson has said about the trans community has hurt people. hurt people's well-being.
Uh,
And
Hurt people in what
What's
sense,
that?
though?
What's that?
Like hurt people in what sense? Like what actual harm has
Well,
been done?
well, the idea. Think of like, I mean, you got to try and. It can be hard, but you got to try and put yourself in a trans person's shoes. That if you feel as though there are famous public figures spreading rhetoric that is anti or against your nature, and then you see that they have a lot of support behind that, and then you go into your doctor and you say, I mean, I just feel like that there's so many people out there that hate me. There is a measurable, by the standards of medical science, there is a measurable difference in what that person is reporting with regards to how they are feeling about themselves in the world. And I think that must be considered if you care about the Pangburn moral quest of maximizing well-being for yourself and those around you. If you don't care about that, if you say like, you know, I'm only going to do that when I feel like people are agreeing with me on what's true or whatever, then I mean that would be a different brand of well-being support that is obviously going to come into conflict with mine one way or another.
So if we were to put a label on the exact kind of harm he's causing, would you say you think that he's causing trans people to develop depression?
I wouldn't say it's necessarily developing depression, but you know, that example I've given you of feeling like the public's against you, feeling like they're not safe, feeling, you know, because of what people say publicly. You know, Elon Musk is another case of this. That is a measurable difference in the detrimental direction of one's well-being. Now, another thing, we can sit here and say, well, they should be more stoic and not allow that person's, you know, what they say to hurt their feelings or to cause them to experience some environmental depression, if we want to call on that term. I tend to not use diagnostic terms when we're talking about things generally like this, because these are terms reserved for a clinical setting and whatnot. But I think it should be very easy to see the line of how public rhetoric and claims by very powerful people, something negative towards them as part of their being, how that can affect people's mental health negatively. But
yeah,
I don't want to stay on I don't want to stay on this and make this a trans debate too long, though, Mace. I do want to keep going, but you have the final word. Go ahead.
I was going to ask more questions, but it's fine.
Yeah,
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Let's move on. But I think these are important. I think you asked fantastic questions there, and I think these are definitely important to wrestle with when we're doing this kind of ethical calculus. But we also want to get through a lot of scorecards today too. Yeah, let me know of what you guys think of that exchange between Mace and I on Jordan Peterson and this particular issue. And remember, this is one particular issue in an ocean of issues that Jordan Peterson deals with. And I think the 7.4 out of 10 is a fair score that my system put out here. Okay, now we move on to communication. So the Pangburnian maxim for communication that governs the Discord server and governs the stages, the stage that you saw Jordan Peterson and Sam Harris sit on, the 4-part series at Pangburn. All speakers are tasked on our stage to engage in a good faith, helpful way. So the communication maxim for Pangburn is good faith and helpfulness are the minimum requirements for a fruitful dialectic. So when it comes to Jordan Peterson's communication style, this is one of the most debated things I would say about Jordan Peterson. A lot of people are like, I don't necessarily disagree with what Jordan Peterson's getting at, but the way he says it, the way he communicates is just so unhelpful, or it seems like he's grifting, or it seems like he's just bad faith. So, this is a very important virtue to analyze here with regards to Jordan Peterson. So everyone, just feel free to unmute. Let me know what you believe Jordan Peterson's going to sit at for a score, and let me know why you think he deserves that particular score. Also, keep in mind, don't fall into the negativity bias like a lot of like Jordan Peterson detractors would. Try to think that him as a lecturer, him as the best-selling author in intellectualism probably ever at this point. Try to incorporate all that and the people who like sing his praises when it comes to his communication. So think about maybe why they do that. And go ahead, Robin. I see you're unmuted.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because I gave him way too high a score on well-being, and I would have thought that would have been his like best subject, actually,
Gotcha.
well-being. But communication, he likes to talk a lot, but like I think he uses a lot of words and doesn't like a lot of times he just says sort of like a bluff of stuff, I think. But I'm sure he has really probably a better communication scoring. So I'm gonna say 7.6, maybe.
Okay, fantastic. It's what you're getting at is interesting. Jordan Peterson uses, he's got quite a large lexicon. He's got some philosophical chops when it comes to the lexicon he calls upon when speaking. He is what I call a thought pretzel thinker. So he thinks in these large thought pretzels, and when he speaks, they come out in pieces of thought pretzels. So it's like you really do have to follow him, pay attention, and you after he's done speaking, you got to kind of interpret the pretzel in one piece, which can be hard to do. And sometimes the pretzels are multi-dimensional, having other pretzels branched off them. So that can come across as being an unclear communicator. Or some people, in kind of a low resolution sense, they'll say that he's engaging in word salad or something like that. And then someone like Sam Harris, who we'll get to his analysis after. Sam Harris is a very authored thinker, an authored speaker, in that the way he thinks and the way he speaks, it comes out ready for the page, ready to be printed. That's just the way. It's two very different contrasting minds at play between these two guys, which is one of the reasons why I think having them on stage together is so brilliant. But I think fantastic, Robin. Who else? Thomas, Brett, Mace. What do you guys think?
I just want to say, let me say something. I want to say that I feel like that Sam Harris has already thought his thing, like what he's going to say. He's already thought through. And I feel like sometimes that Jordan Peterson is actually doing the active thinking on stage.
Gotcha. Now some people like that. Sometimes an authored thinker like Sam Harris, it can come out like a script sometimes. But I don't think that's the case. I just think it's two different kinds of thinkers. But I agree with that analysis, Robin. That's interesting. Go ahead, Brett.
I agree with you on, when he's able to articulate the points well, he does it great. And if you watch some of his lectures, I think there's a difference between the way he presents his lectures, obviously, and what he's doing at times in debates on stage. And I really follow the lectures well. But there is, the word salad time. There's a couple of points where, he goes to do allegory or metaphor, and it just gets way too lost in the very simple connection of a question someone might ask or a point.
Yeah, and on that,
try
Brett,
to articulate with it.
Yeah, on that, and he'll get stamped with sophistry by people sometimes, and I think he does engage in sophistry sometimes, like when he goes through the whole belief nonsense. I mean, this guy is someone who's got enough philosophical training, who should know that a belief is simply our position with regards to a proposition. You either accept that proposition or you don't. That's what a belief should mean in an academic sense to Jordan. But he has this weird, he's playing the mystic when it comes to some of this stuff, and it can come off as sophistry. And I think sometimes it is. So where do you think he sits?
I would still give him, I think I would still give him about an 8.
Yeah.
The one, caveat is the asking if you believe God does or doesn't exist, and then not being willing to, give the one piece of the answer that was asked of him. But then again, that's his perspective. He doesn't feel it's an easy question to answer. Right. So yeah, I'd say 8.
Okay. 8. Fantastic. Thomas or Mace, what do you guys have to throw in the bin here?
He's articulate and well trained in many areas in science. Philosophy, I am not impressed.
Yeah.
However, he has helped a lot of people understand what the medical version of well-being is, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
But I mean, we agree on many things on that level, but I mean, everything else, I think he can do way better. And if he's going to put himself out in the public, that I think he needs to do much, much, much better.
Okay. So for communication, his communication style by...
I personally would give it a 6, but I think the Pangburn machine is probably going to give it like maybe an 8, 8.2, somewhere in there, I'm guessing. Okay.
Gotcha. So let me just pull this back up. Sorry, I got a message. Okay, interesting. You'd give him a 6. You think the Pangburn system's going to give him around an 8. Interesting.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes, on that one.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. And Mace, what do you think about a communication score for Jordan?
I'd give him a 10.
Wait, you mean Sam? You mean Sam, right?
No, we're talking about Jordan.
I thought you moved to Sam.
No. We're just doing Jordan.
God, man.
Good God, Thomas.
God, man.
You're killing me.
I was paying direct attention that time. I was like, okay, you mentioned Sam Harris. We're talking about Sam Harris. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
My bad. Communication on Jordan. Yeah, I mean, word salad is not true. I mean, the man uses accurate terminology most of the time. As far as I can tell, I've watched a shitload of his videos, the maps of meaning, all that kind of stuff. He's pretty rigorous on his terminology. He's not too bad. But his communication style is also, I've got to take 40 hours to explain something to you.
Right.
So
yeah,
there's an issue there with the philosophy of language, linguistics, the philosophy of semantics, all of it.
Yeah. So you were given a 6 to Harris before.
Sam Harris, yes.
And Jordan, what do you think?
I'd give Jordan a 7.5 to 7.8.
Okay.
That's what I think. He's a pretty good communicator. He's been a psychiatrist or whatever he was practicing. He's been that, so he's had to communicate with a variety, many different people. So
okay. Well, Mace, what do you think?
I'd give him a 10. I could listen to this guy all day, and if I was gonna do the university professor to lecture me for hours, it'd be him, because he's a guy I can actually I can learn from him. Like the way he speaks is engaging. He has a wide vocabulary. He's very deliberate and precise with his words, so I don't have to worry about him misspeaking or second guessing it. Or did he mean something else? No, he meant exactly the words he used, which I love. Okay. And his messages are always very clear and well articulate. I guess I just said that already. And he has a way of making complex ideas sound really simple, because he can break them down like logical parts.
Yeah, and I guess that would be, I guess, your assessment of good faith and helpfulness. You think he's just a very helpful communicator, so you would give him a 10 for that. It's an extreme score, but I'm sure a lot of people out there who are Jordan Peterson fans would agree with that with regards to his communication. Okay, so what does the system tell us? It tells us, well, Robin, you said 7.6, didn't you? I don't know if
Yes.
Robin. So. Yeah,
Yes.
you nailed it right on the money. You and the system are right in line. So 7.6 is what the system said, and I mean, a lot of you, Thomas was 7.5 to 7.8, or 7.6 to 7.8, and that was, right on. Well done. And here's the justification for the score. Peterson is known for long-form discussions, engagement with critics and ideological opponents, emphasis on dialogue and free speech. He participates in debates across ideological lines, often attempts to articulate opposing views. However, some critics claim he occasionally misrepresents opponents. Certain exchanges have become heated or confrontational. And again, we're analyzing this by the good faith and helpfulness standards. So supporting behaviors, numerous public debates with ideological opponents, long-form discussions, emphasis, we went through that. Non-supporting, occasional heated exchanges, accusations of straw manning in some debates. So the 7.6 score, the summary is strong communicator, committed to dialogue with occasional adversarial tone. I just agree with it. I think that nails it. Now we move on to patience. Is Jordan Peterson generally a patient guy? I think this is a tricky one with him. So the maxim being ultimate patience, even in the face of detestable ideas. So how patient do we think Jordan is?
I think he interrupts a lot. Like he's really bad about interrupting his opponent, or like he'll talk for a long time, and then when they start speaking, he'll jump right back in and start speaking again. Which I do the same. I catch myself doing the same thing, so I really can't but it's like it's something you have to work on. But I'd say other than that, he probably has pretty good patience score, except for he's just like he likes to jump in.
Do you have a number in mind?
Let's see. I'm gonna give him a 7.2.
Okay, 7.2. Fantastic. Anyone else care to contribute? Feel free to drop your guys' scores in the comment section on YouTube as well. Welcome, everyone. Make sure you smash that like button. Brett, Mace, anyone else?
Yeah, I'm struggling with this one. I'm going to need a moment.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, I can go if that's cool, Mace.
Sure.
I'm ready, never go. Take your time.
Okay, I would say, the fact that I've noticed at times, it seems like depending on who his opponent is, he changes into various scenarios. Like with Sam and others, he was more calm and cool, collected as the nights went on because they got to know each other, kind of thing. But like with a couple other people on various stations and whatnot, it's clear that stress has kind of got to him because he's wants to be understood and doesn't want to be taken with the wrong word and whatnot. I think I'd grade him a little bit lower. I think I'd put him at like a 6.5. And the reason why I would ultimately choose that number is just like Robin said. It's like I wouldn't want to put him at a 4 or a 5 because we're all human and we got to be aware of when we do that kind of thing. Yeah. But I think I think sometimes because some of the people he is talking to do have some, ideas out there, and he, may not agree with their foundation, then he tries to go very quickly for it, but it has varying results. So I'll stop there.
Okay, great. That was 6.5 from Brett. I like your reasoning there. Thomas or Mace, what do you guys got? Anything?
I just got one sentence. Yeah, right. Jung was a mystic.
Oh yeah, like Jung was a mystic.
That might be one of his bitingest, like that I haven't seen all of his new material and stuff.
Yeah.
I just know him up to that point, basically between Harris and Peterson. You know what I mean? And that probably why my mind drifted there. But I only know up to that point. But yeah, I think that really tells you about how deeply he cares about that subject. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That impatience will shine through if somebody misrepresents it or misunderstands it.
Well, if we were running the Dillahunty Peterson debate through this system and just looking at that, I think Jordan Peterson's patience is in the toilet. In that conversation, he gets a failing grade, and actually, it might be fun. It might be fun to put that transcript in once we're done this analysis between Sam and Jordan, just to see what the analysis says. But yeah, I think his patience was in the toilet for that conversation. But yeah, I mean, passionate intellectuals who know so much about the particular topic they're engaging in, that can alone be a test of patience, especially if you're talking to someone who doesn't know as much as you do, and maybe they're making a couple minor or significant errors, and that can really test one's patience within the while you're in the course of the dialectic. Let's get a comment from YouTube. Deck of Cardboard says, but Jordan Peterson is an admitted agreeable personality type, not the argumentative type, which is why Destiny couldn't find common ground with him. What a joke his self-evaluation is. Yeah, I mean, look, I think, personality psychology, just like what we're doing here, needs to be taken with a huge fat grain of salt. The personality psychology, it's not that it's useless, but just keep in mind that it is a very general view that's taking into account parameters that are ever changing. So, would I peg Jordan Peterson to be an agreeable guy? Hell no. I think he is I would like to see, how this is being tested. I just, for some reason, I just don't trust that emergence in the big five of, agreeable, Jordan Peterson's agreeable character. No way. Sam wears Chanel says Jordan Peterson is just old and confused, and y'all leave him alone. He saved my life. Well, I mean, Jordan Peterson agrees with what we are doing here today, doing thoughtful analysis based on articulable, ethical, and epistemic standards. This is the kind of stuff Jordan likes, and I don't think Jordan needs you to white knight for him, but I don't know if you're joking or not. But some people might feel that it's like, no, leave him alone. He's just an old man or something. It's like, no. Jordan Peterson is, he's a powerhouse, and he can take some intellectual analysis punches. He's a big boy. So did we get everyone? We didn't get Mace's patience score.
I think this is a difficult thing to judge, really, because patience is kind of like, it's more of an internal thing than a behavior. I'd say it's definitely higher than the average person, because the average person doesn't have the patience to even have a good faith debate with an ideological opponent.
That's a good point.
But yeah, I'd struggle to really put a number on it. But if 7.5 is average, then we're probably looking like somewhere between 8 and 10. Probably not 10. He still does get frustrated sometimes. So maybe let's say 8.5.
All right, let's see the analysis here. Peterson often engages critics publicly, debates across ideological divides, emphasizes listening and careful thought. However, in recent years, some public communications have become more reactive. Social media presence has included sharper or more emotional knee-jerk responses. Supporting behaviors for patients would be long debates with ideological opponents, like Mace just kind of alluded to there, careful extended explanations in lectures, Non-supporting behaviors would be some reactive or emotionally charged online statements, public conflicts with institutions and critics. So the summary would be generally patient and deliberative, with some reactive moments in public discourse. So the assessment here, the scoring by my system, gives him a 6.8 out of 10. And I think that's, again, right on. And I will tell you if I disagree here, because all this analysis we're all doing, we're all contributing here is very much going to affect this system and how we apply it. So 6.8 out of 10 from the system, and I agree with that number. Robin, what was your guess? I think you were a 6.5, right?
No, I thought it was like 7.2.
Okay, 7.2. So you were, point 4 points off. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I was a little generous. I was pretty generous to him on most of the things.
Yeah. Okay. Now we get to a big one here. Light-heartedness. Now, keep in mind that when we talk about lightheartedness in the Pangburnian sense, we are talking with regards to the maxim, refine and express your sense of humor. Is Jordan Peterson someone who is refining and expressing his sense of humor? So where do we think Jordan Peterson's going to land based on this virtue, based on this maxim? Hey, Don's with us. Yeah. What's up, my brother?
Everything great. I just kind of got home, so I'm ready to join the stream and
Sweet.
give some points.
Nice. Well, we are on Jordan Peterson now. We have gotten all the way down. Just to give Don a quick recap, the system. And by the way, some of our guests here, specifically Robin, has been nailing these scores, I think, based on what the system is analyzing. So Fallibilism, he got a 7.8 out of 10. Well-being, he got a 7.4. Communication, he got a 7.6. Patience, we just did, and he's down to a 6.8 out of 10, which has been his lowest score so far. And we find ourselves now on lightheartedness. Is Jordan Peterson a lighthearted individual? Does he practice refinement and expression of his sense of humor? This is what we're analyzing next. So feel free, Don, if you want to throw a number out there, give some of your reasoning and the general scope.
I haven't watched recently much of his work, but I don't think it's that much different than the rest of his stuff. I've known him to be in all Pangburn debates and all of his podcasts and videos. He takes things very seriously to the point where he'll cry on camera because of Pinocchio. So I think that he's not a very lighthearted person, but we were talking about refining his humor. I don't know if he cares about being humorous at all. And I think that he also doesn't appreciate humor when other people do it. I think he usually sees it as some sort of like subversive way of using messages or like corrupting minds by saying, so I don't find him a very lighthearted person. But I don't know if it's less than the average. I'm going to go with a 6 out of 10 on his lightheartedness.
6 out of 10. Okay, fantastic. I love the reasoning there. I agree with so much about what you said. I'm going to invite everyone up to speak who hasn't. And so just so everyone's up to speed, we are analyzing Jordan Peterson's lightheartedness at the moment. Now, okay, who else has a guess here, an assessment?
I have a 3 out of 10. A solid 3.
Okay, explain your reasoning there, Nate. Nice to hear from you, by the way.
Yeah, good to see you. It's been a while. Good to see everyone, actually. But so I mean, the only reason I give it a 3 is I remember back, this might be too old head, but I remember back in 2014, when Joe Rogan was first going on Spotify and stuff, and Jordan Peterson was freaking out on college campuses. He was scheduling as many appearances as he could, and the only reason was because he wanted to say hey, it's okay. you have freedom to like be anti-trans, anti-person, you know, you have no purpose in your life. And so the combination of maybe the message and how he did it, just in that sort of small time period is like, to me, it's, to me, that's sort of the end of it. So 3 out of 10, and that's it.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for your analysis. Something to keep in mind here too is for anyone that just joined is these are kind of, we're trying to give a general score of his public life. So we should also allow the his history as a clinician and try to imagine what that would be like based on what we know about him. And again, like this whole endeavor of this virtue scoring and how you might score Jordan Peterson epistemically or ethically, take it with a big fat grain of salt. But the point of this exercise is to learn to articulate your analyses. Learn what standards you pull from to analyze the goodness and badness, righteousness, wrongfulness in the world. That's why it's important to do this kind of practice and bring your lighthearted selves to this, because this is also supposed to be fun. We are doing Jordan Peterson and Sam Harris today, but the next day or the next string of characters we might do are Star Wars characters, right? Disney characters we can do. So this is meant to be fun, and I hope you guys enjoy this. Make sure you smash a like button when you get in to the room here on YouTube. That'll allow you to be notified when we are live again next. Okay, who else has a lightheartedness score for Jordan Peterson?
I'm going to say
yeah, I agree with Don Don. Like pretty hard on that. Like everything he said. Yeah. I'm not trying to be, yeah.
And Don Don said 6, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
All right. Fantastic. Thanks, Thomas. Mace, what do you got?
I'd say 3. I'm putting it low because he is an incredibly serious guy. But it's not 1 because he does strike me as the kind of guy that probably does have a good sense of humor, although he doesn't he doesn't crack any jokes himself. I feel like if I told him an offensive joke, he would just laugh at it and he wouldn't lecture me or virtue signal. Right. So, 3.
Yeah.
May I really quickly? I apologize. Really quickly?
Yeah,
the only person in this room who has the empirical evidence of this is you, bud.
Well, yeah, I haven't seen the final score yet, but one thing, it's kind of similar between Jordan Peterson and Richard Dawkins in that what you see on stage with regards to Jordan Peterson and Richard Dawkins is what you get. That is them. I've been to dinners with Jordan Peterson where he didn't stop talking the entire time because he was so charged up and interested with the zeitgeist of the table, what someone might have brought up as an aside. Jordan Peterson just has so many thoughts and interests related to anything. Is there much room for humor? Or does Jordan Peterson think that humor is getting in the way of further exchange of important information that is going to better serve his particular purposes? I think it's the latter. My experience with Jordan Peterson is I've laughed with him, I've joked with him, but that is something that's kind of getting in the way of the important stuff in his mind. Now, this being a Pangburn virtue and with the corresponding maxim to refine and express your sense of humor, lightheartedness cures disease. It literally cures disease. Heavy-heartedness causes heart disease. We're going to get into this, the medical science behind what I mean by the relationship between lightheartedness and heavy-heartedness. But Jordan Peterson could do with a massive injection directly into the lizard part of his brain of lightheartedness. And I think it would be great for his blood pressure. It would be great for his interpersonal relationships. It would be great for his business practices. It would be so great by the metrics of Jordan Peterson's well-being, that is his physical, mental, and social health. So lightheartedness, in my view of Jordan Peterson, is his virtue that is on life support by the Pangburnian standards. So for me, I give him a 5 out of 10 based on everything I know about Jordan Peterson publicly and all of my interactions with Jordan Peterson. He needs he needs to be enlightened. He needs to transcend into a more lighter-hearted version of himself, which is easy to do through therapy, through changing some of your life practices, some cognitive behavioral therapy, some like all kinds of different things that everyone should be open to. So yes, Jordan Peterson needs way more lightheartedness in his life. And by the standards of the 6 Pangburn virtues and maxims, to me, that is where he is weakest. Who else has a guess before we get to what the system tells us? Yeah, go ahead.
I imagine that lightheartedness would definitely be his lowest score. I guessed less than sign 5 in the comments. So,
right.
But I'll be charitable and go with the 5. Now, what was his patience score again?
The system came through with a 6.8 out of 10 on patience, and there was quite a variation in the room. Mace had him quite a bit higher, I believe, and Robin had him a little bit higher on patience. But I think this system was right on for that one. Yeah.
My intuition with these virtues is that something like patience and lightheartedness are going to be correlated more often than not. So if you have kind of a poor patience score, the range between that and the lightheartedness score probably won't vary too much. Now, if he got a 6.8 on patience, and I even heard you give him a pretty good score on fallibility, which I'll have to analyze and meditate on more.
Yeah.
Maybe he is, and I just have a pessimism bias going. But I'll go with, if I were trying to win some money and get the right score, I'll go with a 5.8. I imagine the system will kick out something like that if his patience was a 6.8. That's
Fantastic.
kind of, and so I agree with Don as well. I mean, if your emotions are so unhinged to the point where you're going to cry on camera, not that there's really anything wrong with that, but it definitely speaks to the heavy-heartedness and seriousness that a person has.
And I actually think it's an interesting psychological insight to examine with regards to the lightheartedness, because Don specifically was bringing up the example of Pinocchio. It is not the norm to see adults crying when referencing or reflecting on the story of Pinocchio. So it seems like maybe a benign reflection or too situational dependent, but it is something to indicate towards the general mean that there might be something within the general nature that is somewhat heavy-hearted.
No, and I only have these kind of particulars that are probably context dependent. Maybe he had a shit day, right? I've broken down in tears because of not necessarily the event, but the things that led up to it, no doubt. So I get that. I also reference another particular, something like the Matt Dillahunty and Jordan Peterson. This could again, this is why I think patience and lightheartedness are probably pretty correlated in a sense. You know, this is something that your system won't be able to detect. It picks up the transcript, but it doesn't pick up body behavior. So he's sitting there, he's rocking back and forth, he's gripping his hands to the point where you see the blood cutting off circulation from his forearms to his hands.
Right.
That sort of behavior, to me, is indicative of a heavy-hearted and impatient person.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's a really good point. I will mention to you, Perry, that the behavioral analysis aspect of how I have this system set up does take in body language in the general corpus of what's
nice.
Applying to but it can very much be improved and is much better improved if a behavioral analysis expert has done a particular review on the general behavior and body language of known individuals,
Okay.
which is sometimes the case because there's some psychologists who have YouTube channels out there, or some criminologists even who have YouTube channels who have done body language analysis on people like Peterson. I don't know if they've done it on Peterson precisely, but
Sure.
but you know there are some things out there that the system can pull from. But
No,
you
that
are
would
right.
work just as well.
But you are right. The experience of the observer watching Jordan Peterson, you know, railing his knuckles while sitting there frustrated against Matt Dillahunty, that can be. And again, like I mentioned it about the patience score last episode, if we were to run this analysis just on the Matt Dillahunty discussion and Jordan Peterson, his patience would be in the toilet. Like he's a 2 out of 10 for that, and then his lightheartedness as well. Like Jordan, even like he's Jordan when Jordan's like kind of fake laughing in that conversation, he's gritting his teeth while doing it. Like it's, you know, it's pretty intense.
I did want to mention actually one last thing on humor. I don't know, you know, even the dinner and the time that you've spent with him off stage could be very insightful. But you know, I don't see him as a humorous kind of guy. You know, the only time that I've really seen him laugh is maybe like awkwardly in a debate, or because, you know, he's actually inadvertently funny sometimes where the crowd will laugh and, you know, it's hard to believe that he was intending to crack a joke, but
one
as
thing
a consequence, he created laughter. So.
No, that's great insight. And one thing I've noticed about that too is Jordan, when he does have the audience laughing, I see him quick to cut them off because he's got to get to the next bit of important information. It's like, you know, there are all of these anecdotes stacking up, and it's hard to know how much we ought to incorporate these when scoring, especially when we're doing a general analysis like this, which is so hard to do to get it accurate, even by our own standards. But the important part of this is that we should all be engaging in these scoring efforts in a fallibilist way, in that we should be open to update when someone else in the room might say something, might have an insight as to, well, aren't we considering, you know, 20 years of Jordan Peterson before he was a public intellectual and he was writing books and lecturing, and like, are we putting too much weight on, say, what he's saying about trans people in the public today? You know, so it's these are a lot of different things to think about in these analysis. Okay, who hasn't given a score for lightheartedness? Let's try to get our scores out there, and then we'll scroll down and we'll see what the assessment tells us.
Trav, this is Brett. I would give him a 5.5, and then I actually had a question for you.
Yeah.
If we got a minute.
Yeah.
I give him 5.5 with basically what you and Don said. With him, like, you know, being emotional over like the story of Pinocchio in public, right? What do you think it is that, is it like the fact that that's normally more like something that would be geared towards kids, or is it merely the fact that, you know, most people may not be emotional about that given story, but then they might be, you know, over like, you know, some beauty in nature or something like that?
Yeah.
Like, what's your perspective on?
I think it's an excellent question. Why isn't that more of the norm to have such deep analysis of a story that seems like a story reserved more for low resolution, from an adult perspective, moral instances that we might find in Disney films? But there are also, like, I get choked up over some pretty simple-minded things in film all the time. So maybe it's the fact that Jordan Peterson wears this on his sleeve publicly more than others might. But I think within academia, it's especially rare. Jordan is a member of academia, and he's, like Don gave the great example of crying when referencing aspects of Pinocchio. I think that is rare to see in academia, and it's not a bad thing that it affects him in that way. But I think when we're analyzing by the virtue of lightheartedness, would a lighthearted person have that kind of reaction when assessing a Disney film like Pinocchio? They very well could. But I think when you look at the collection, the total picture of Jordan Peterson, and then look at that instance, I think it gives you a more heavy-hearted view of how that story's affecting him than, let's say, if Richard Feynman was sitting down talking about Pinocchio and it brought a tear to his eye while he's talking about the beauty of Pinocchio. Richard Feynman is a very light-hearted byproduct of academia. So I think the context matters outside of that particular instance, but given the greater picture, I think it's a worthwhile instance to examine.
Sure. Cool. Thanks for answering.
Yeah. So Brett says 5.5. Anyone else want to throw in their score? Let's throw in some scores here for lightheartedness.
Update mine. Do you mind if I update mine real quick?
Yeah, sure.
So I gave a 3 because I thought he had no chill back in his, like, wherever he was. He was in Toronto or wherever he was talking.
Yeah.
I'm gonna update it and say 4.5 because I think a lot of the points you guys brought up, and all like, not in addition to, but also he wrote a book, right? Like, and so for lightheartedness, like, he didn't go out and try to make like an Amazon Prime movie and stuff like that. He did, and he didn't do, like, he doesn't podcast every day, right? He did like his little Bible Christian stuff. So I think even though he sort of voiced his beliefs almost immediately, the value that he has that I think I appreciate there is that he's willing to do the right thing at the right, sometimes, the right thing at the right time. So I'm just not a big JP fan, but it's 4.5, not a 3.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for the update. And you just demonstrated that you are open to update and you are listening to your peers here, and that's affecting your scoring. It's not that that's going to happen every time when we go through this, but I think that's a fantastic example of fallibilism in action, the praxis of fallibilism. By the way, tomorrow is the continuation of the study sessions of working through the content of my first book. We have made it through the Fallibilism chapter. And my first book is Pangburn Philosophy, the 6 Pangburn Virtues and Maxims. Thomas and Perry join me for those sessions, and we work through meticulously the important underlining issues related to the 6 Pangburn Virtues and Maxims and the chapters in the book. We've made it through, after 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think we've done 15 hours in total, and we're halfway through chapter 3, communication. So we're going to finish off communication chapter tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern time. If anyone would like to join us for that, we will be doing that exclusively on our Discord server. And if you haven't joined our Discord server yet, please do join us. We have a fantastic community that wants to be your friend. So hopefully you join us. Okay, any more lightheartedness scores? Any more? Going once, going twice. Okay. So let's go through the analysis quickly. So again, lightheartedness, refine and express your sense of humor. Peterson's public persona: serious, intellectually intense, focused on suffering, responsibility, and meaning. He does occasionally use humor in lectures, and he does engage in light conversational moments. However, humor is not a central feature of his public presence. Tone is often heavy and emotionally intense. So a supporting behavior would be occasional humor in lectures and interviews, like we just said. Non-supporting behaviors, predominantly serious tone, focus on existential suffering and moral responsibility. So here's the summary. Some lightheartedness, but seriousness just dominates. The score by the system is 5.5 out of 10. So a lot of you were right in the money. If you're within 0.5 points of the score, you're right on. I undervalued based on what the system is delivering, but after seeing this analysis by the system, I do think that it's right on. So 5.5 for Peterson. Now we move to inspiration, and we got Sam Harris to do still, so don't go anywhere. So the inspiration virtue, the maxim, let art and science inspire. This is scored by how inspired the individual is by art and science. Okay, so think about Jordan Peterson. Think about how much is art and science part of how he lectures, the interests in his life. How much does, like, is it a dominant presence? Is it a moderate presence? Don, I got to hear your take, man.
What?
Oh, I thought you were listening.
No, I'm sorry. What did you, can you repeat yourself? What was the point?
Sorry, we're
inspiration.
We can go to Don next after a couple of people, but we're on inspiration now. Let art and science inspire. How inspired is Jordan Peterson by art and science? Does that pour out of him? Is it?
I would say like an 8. It's like an 8, 9.
Okay.
I think Jordan Peterson, first of all, when it comes to art and literature, I mean, Jordan Peterson believes the fundamental nature of reality is best explained by like Disney movies and their like metaphorical archetype across the times with like Chinese and biblical mythology.
Yes.
And I think that when he explains these things, he also appeals to very interesting like scientific things like lobster shedding and lobster aggression with serotonin.
Yes.
So he's very much inspired by art and science. I'll give him like, honestly, instead of a 9, I would give him an 8. 8. Let's go with 8. Let's just go with 8.
Fantastic. And I agree with your reasoning there. Fantastic. Right in line with my thinking. I'm actually just, for the sake of moving along here, I'm going to agree with Don and go with an 8 as well. Let's throw our inspiration scores and reasoning out there, and let's get through this one.
I'm gonna do a 6 just because. Maybe because I don't like him, but I don't like his ideas, right? I don't know him, but I think he does a lot of like the young stuff for academic reasons. A lot of the like Freud stuff, I think he believes it too. But he's got paintings in his house and stuff, but so do I. So I'm just gonna say 6 because I don't think he's made serious sacrifices for. Maybe this is like just taking Don's answer. But yeah, I don't think he's made serious sacrifices for like art. Or like even Christianity, right? I don't know if that's confusing or if it kind of makes at least some sense. But he hasn't. I don't think he's really put it all out there for something sort of ambitious.
Okay, thanks, Nate. Anyone else?
I'm gonna jump one over y'all. 8.1.
8.1.
Yeah, like what was it? That old show where that Price is Right, where you just go up one score there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I see what you're doing. Yeah.
That's what I was going to do, Robin. So in that case, it's good to have you guinea pigs go first, because now I'm going to go 8.2.
You bastard.
For a couple of reasons. I think Don had a really good analysis. So two things, maybe more. Nate brought up Freud, which kind of is an outdated science. In fact, I'm not sure that we even call it science anymore, or Wissenschaft as it is in German, which can mean. Anywho,
one thing, something to keep in mind just about that for the record, Perry, is that Freud and Jung were in vicious disagreement on many things.
Later in their careers.
Yeah. So, and Jordan Peterson is very much the mystic type of Jung in my view. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But
no, that's a great point. And Freud was kind of the opposite. He was anti-mystic. He was a real material kind of guy. His conclusions of the material were a bit woo-woo and mystic. But yeah, anywho, there's also art we can't forget. Were they inspired by science and art? And so, if Jung and Freud don't cover the science portion, sure enough, they'll cover the art. And I think Don made a really good point that, I won't pull the Nivik and say that he doesn't actually believe this, but Peterson claims that the ontological structure of reality is metaphor, which, is that's an art word, poetry, literature, metaphor. So I'll go 8.2 to The Price is Right, you guys.
All right. Fantastic. We're just climbing the ladder here.
Whoever says 8.3 you're not allowed to.
Yeah, that's just the shadow archetype coming out in you.
Wow, yeah. Okay. You got me on that.
All right. Anyone else have a score? Yeah, Thomas.
I'm pretty close to you and Don. I'm going to say 7.8.
7.8?
Just for the hell of it. 7.7.
Yeah, so you can collect the money at the end of this game show.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like I want to change mine to 8.3 just because Barry told me I couldn't. I wasn't allowed to.
Okay, Robin has updated because she's a fallibilist and definitely not playing the Price is Right game.
I changed my answer to the set of all possible numbers from 1 to 10.
Well,
I love it.
I will say that all villains that we've put into these scorecards, more than 90% of the time, inspiration is the highest score amongst all. And now I'm not calling JP a villain, but I'll let you guys come to your own conclusions with that.
Okay, fantastic. Any other scores? Going once, going twice. Okay, so let's go through the analysis here. Inspiration, and then we're moving right on to Sam Harris. Analysis. Peterson is deeply inspired. Oh, did I give my? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I said an 8 with Don. Peterson is deeply inspired by psychology and neuroscience, evolutionary theory, literature, mythology and religion, art, and symbolic narratives. We all know how important symbolic narratives are to Jordan, and Don mentioned that when he gave his analysis. His work integrates scientific research, literary and mythological analysis, philosophical themes. Supporting behaviors would be the academic psychology career, lectures on literature and myth, integration of science and symbolic interpretation, non-supporting behaviors, some criticisms of scientific consensus, some criticisms of scientific consensus in specific domains. So strong inspiration from both science and art. Jordan Peterson, by this analysis, gets an 8.6 out of 10. So Robin wins because she cheated.
I should have gone with my 9.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. I totally agree, and I think it was kind of unanimous across the board here. Now we get to Jordan's final score finally, because then we're going to move on to Sam Harris. So Jordan Peterson's final score is a 7.3 out of 10. He got a 7.8 for fallibilism. Well-being was 7.4. Communication 7.6. Patience 6.8. Light-heartedness is in the dirt. This is, I want Jordan Peterson to take life more lightheartedly. It's so much better for his health to do so. And my moral quest is to maximize well-being for myself and those around me, and that includes Jordan, because we are connected in one way or another. So a 7.3 out of 10. That is, and Don gave a great critique and suggested update for these analysis that we do to apply a letter grade as well. So I have letter grades now for the overall score, and then eventually we probably will add letter grades for the scores for each virtue. But he gets a B+. Jordan Peterson, by the standard of the Pangburn virtues and maxims, is living a B+ life, and that would suggest that he is living the good life. He is garnered a fair amount of wisdom in his life by these standards, and so thumbs up to Jordan Peterson. Now Sam Harris.
I would agree.
What's that?
I would agree
Donna?
that Jordan Peterson. I would agree that Jordan Peterson is living a good life. He has a family that loves him. He has a daughter that's successful. He has a wife that loves him. He has a long career. He has fans, financial stability, emotional stability. So he's on medication, right? He's doing everything he needs to do. So,
Right. Yeah.
Jordan Peterson's living a good life.
Yeah. I could.
I can
Yeah.
definitely
Go ahead.
understand this.
Yeah. Let's have a conversation here a little bit.
No.
For after the analysis, go Thomas. I think it's important for just a general conversation here. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and just in general, yeah. I mean, I can understand the 7.3. If we're what was the letter grade for 7 again? Like, I know
B.
they are attempting to spread well-being, right?
A B+ is means that he is quite or highly in sync with the Pangburn virtues and maxims.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
So he's got a high level of symmetry. Yeah.
He cut his teeth on the intellectual circuit partly with you, and so yeah, I can understand that, him being aligned in some ways. But yeah, I'm still disappointed in some of the ways that he spreads it, and that reactivity and all the stuff Don brought up about the seriousness and all that. So.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I think his political takes are dog shit, and part of it has to do with like we haven't really got into assessing his epistemic standards yet. We dealt with fallibilism, which is a necessary constraint on epistemology. That's where it sits. It doesn't sit within the epistemic standards. It is a necessary constraint on the epistemic world. That's what the Pangburnian fallibilism and maxim hope to help manage. It is the necessary architecture for good epistemology. That is where fallibilism sits. It's not that all of these other principles get to escape fallibilism within the realm of epistemology, but that's at least what the structure looks like in a taxonomic sense. If you were to create a topological map of it, So I think Jordan Peterson engages in conspiratorial line drawing. That's an epistemic dead end when it comes to politics and some other things. I don't really feel like getting into the specifics, but yeah, him and I tend to disagree.
I think it's less important. Sorry, Charles, I didn't cut you off. I think it's less important if we agree or disagree with his political takes.
Yeah.
Or how he chooses to arrive at his political takes. I think this measures whether a person is living like a type of virtuous life, where they're following, like, they're overall trying to be a good force in the world, whether we agree or disagree with him. I don't think that we can look at Jordan Peterson and point to and be like, this man is like a Hitler, or this man is like a Genghis Khan.
Yeah,
he's not one of those people.
Of course, yeah, and that's such a good point. And so many people who get radicalized and seek to demonize other human beings can find a way to view Jordan Peterson as a demon. I've heard colleagues of mine reference saying Jordan Peterson is a garbage human. No, he's not.
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson is not a garbage human. He has said some garbage things, granted. But if you look at the entire, the structure of Jordan Peterson's life, and
yeah, this is why we should not judge people only on their political identities that they have attached themselves to.
yes,
You know what's crazy about political identities? Those change all the time. Every 15 to 20 years, people's political identity changes.
oh yeah,
So,
Hilariously enough, alongside human sexuality, fluid throughout the entire human's lifestyle. Some move a little bit off the middle bar, and then some very wildly. So it's crazy.
interesting. Any other final general statements about the Jordan Peterson analysis here before we move on?
I mean, people who would say that he would be, I hate the good bad thing. I mean, he is a good person. From as much you've told me about him, and from the things that I've seen, I haven't seen all of his new political takes and his reactionary stuff and all the stuff that he got big. I don't know, around what year did he start getting big? 2020?
2017.
Well, that was Maps of Meaning and all that when he was about to get with you and all that stuff. But when did he get big politically? Starting the big dollars?
It was around that time when he blew up, but more like 2018, we can say, is when he really blew up. But then he transcended that into new levels, of course, pandemic, post-pandemic, and I'd
like to see him. I think he is. I think he is a good person, but I would like to see him dive back into psychology and philosophy because he could do a lot of amazing good, even more so than he is trying to do.
Yeah. I would really like to see him. Of course, I've already harped on him about lightheartedness today. But also in his communication, the way he communicates his ideas, it's his political ideas, what have you. Be conscientious of how your words make others feel, and learn to better temper your words as to not cause well-being detriments. And I really do think that he would attract even more people if he harnessed a more helpful level of communication publicly. And of course, if Jordan Peterson came back after the illnesses that he is struggling with right now, and I hope Jordan Peterson comes out with good health through all this, but if he comes into the intellectual zeitgeist with a new lighthearted feel, kind of like Ebenezer Scrooge at the end of the film after he goes through the psychedelic process with the three ghosts, a hop in his step. That's really that lighthearted. That's a really good example of lightheartedness and what it can do to someone's life. It's such an overlooked virtue that's just so important, and it's. And if you want to be a good leader, if you're interested in things like that, a leader in your community, lightheartedness is a very calming, soothing, attractive trait for someone who wants to be a good leader in their community, or a good leader in your home, a good leader of your own life. Very, very important. So, shall we move on to Sam Harris?
Oh, geez. I wonder what I think about one part of this.
Well, I think I must say that I am still to this day a fan of Sam Harris and his work, and even though
I'm not necessarily not a fan of Sam Harris, I agree with a lot of we'll get into it in a minute, but I agree with a lot of his moral seeking that I would say lower resolution version of well-being that he's talking about.
Yeah.
That is related to the populace, that is good and does seek health and awesomeness just in general. I do agree with a lot of that. The moral landscape has some awesome stuff in it. It's been a long time since I've read it, though. I'll be honest with you. That was 2011. Regardless, go ahead. It's
quite digestible for the person with an average education. That book, it's not too thick, but there are things that need to be made more concrete. I actually was interviewed yesterday, and the interviewer mentioned that they were actually quite well read on my virtues and maxims, and that was kind of cool. And they mentioned like something unique I thought about your well-being ideas is that you put such a strong emphasis on social health and how social health, and we recently went through this in the chapter, Perry and Thomas, but how important social health is compared to physical and mental health. It's just as important.
It is our physical and mental health.
Yeah, and it's
It is.
it's completely intertwined.
Don't have social
Yeah.
health, you can't have the others.
Yeah.
How would you go to the doctor?
Yeah.
How would you go to the doctor to take care of yourself without social health? If the social systems, the doctor system, all that stuff weren't working, what do you think would happen to
Yeah.
you?
And that was the example I brought up when we were doing the session is like, can you imagine how neglected neglectful a doctor was being, or neglected a patient would feel if you went in having feelings and symptoms of depression and they didn't even mention or ask about the interpersonal relationships in your life or your social circumstance? How neglected would you feel? It would no longer be the medical practice that we see today. It would just be robbed. Yeah, exactly. So like, and then one of my biggest critiques in the book is that social health has been underplayed by not only ancient orators on well-being, but contemporary authors on well-being as well. It's the social health element is too underplayed, and also too underplayed in Sam Harris's conceptualizations of well-being. It needs to be explicitly stated because it is a forgotten necessary pillar of
Just bring up
well-being.
the resolution. That's all I'm asking. Like,
Yeah.
Just bring up the resolution. That way it helps all of us,
Okay, let's go with fallibilism right here. Sam Harris is he a fallible being? Remember, the maxim is certainty is almost certainly unattainable. Is Sam Harris defeasible? Is he always open to update? Is that how he acts in the world? Let's analyze this. Who wants to go first? Open it up.
Do you want to go ahead and get at the fact that you've had lunch with the guy?
Well,
you probably know.
Yeah, I mean, I know Sam Harris on a personal level, not so much since we had our public breakup and, no longer friends, but I got to know him very well on a personal level. And I also have read his works. I think his lying book is a very bad book. He tries to present lying as like this maximally bad thing to do, like almost like it's always bad and hardly ever righteous to do so. And I think lying is a simple-minded take on his part. However, the rest of his works I think are exemplary. They're excellent works. They're on the right track. He's and I think Sam Harris does move through the world as a fallible being. I think he's an excellent example for how to live as a fallibilist. And obviously we can nitpick and look at interpersonal issues I've had with him or issues he's had with other people or being stringent when it comes to particular ideas. But I think the general picture of Sam Harris is that he is a fallible being. And I think he'll score high on the fallibilism scale. I think he'll score an 8 or beyond, anywhere between an 8 and an 8.5.
I'll give him an 8.5. I'll give him an 8.5. That's perfect.
Fantastic.
Yeah, he's high on that.
Anyone else have a score to throw out there for Mr. Sam Harris?
Yeah, I'm like you, Sam. Sam's probably one of my he was a really big person in my life when I deconverted. So, probably his later. His later stuff seems to kind of get off of track from where I thought he was, but I'd say 8.1. I think he's definitely open to information. He has to be in his field.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Robin. Anywhere else? Perry, I'm interested to hear your take as well.
Yeah, I'll practice fallibilism and just kind of preface that I actually don't really know too much outside of the debate. Similarly with JP, right? I don't know too much about these guys. I have binge watched the debates for whatever it's worth. He strikes me, and this is a vibes-based reasoning, bear with me. He strikes me as someone who in praxis is not very fallible. Someone who's maybe had kind of the same structure of ideas for however long. And, well, I won't get too Freudian about it, but he strikes me as someone who, whenever someone will push back on him, will dig his heels in, rightfully or wrongfully. You know, oftentimes he is a sound thinker, so he probably would be justified. I'll go with a 7.4.
Okay.
Because I think he may lack praxis with fallibility.
Fantastic.
Could be wrong, but yeah.
I appreciate that reasoning.
I would like to second that I actually got a little bit of that vibe from him as well, and that's why, honestly, it's not like I don't trust him or anything. He definitely is a good human being, but that's just the vibe that I got when Perry brought that up. I was like, yeah, I did get that little bit of vibe too. So anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think that definitely has merit, what you're saying. Now, my question would be, is this the general mean, or is this in particularized instances? You know,
I don't think it is. Yeah, I don't think it's the generalized mean. No.
Yeah.
For me, it would be the general. But again, remember, this is only a vibes-based thing, so I don't even have a particular to. I mean, I could even say in the particular debates, he was or wasn't fallible. I don't know. So, but I am speaking from a general vibes-based conclusion.
Yeah. A question I also ask when it comes to fallibilism is whatever system we're analyzing, character, real world person, do I believe that given good, sound, logical argumentation that was seemingly irrefutable by the standards of logic, would Sam Harris change his mind if he found himself on the other end of that, on the wrong end of that calculus? And I think he would. I can't say the same for people who buy into any form of dogmatism, right? Dogmatism is the anti-fallibilism. Yeah, but this is all really, really good stuff that should be weighed and taken into consideration. Any other proposed scores or reasoning for fallibilism?
I have a proposed scores.
Yeah.
I actually tend to agree with Perry. I think that in the earlier part of his career, he kind of, he's one of the pro-fallibilism, skepticism, crowd, and that was a very important thing in his early career. But what I've seen, at least in his later career, especially with his meditation app stuff and certain things that he says, like there was no other way anyone else except Donald Trump could have done X. For me, that's a very non-fallibilistic answer. So I think if we're talking about Sam Harris without the last 5 or 6 years, I would want to give him an 8 point something, but I think I'm going to have to give him a 7.1.
Okay, fair enough. I'm actually, you guys are making some fantastic arguments. How much should we weigh the past 5 years of his life and the ideas that we've seen? I was very hypercritical. I actually I felt that it was important for me to make a little YouTube short and say that I think it was the worst take of Sam Harris's life to say that Donald Trump is owed the Nobel Peace Prize for his work in the Middle East. I just think that it was such a radically stupid take by a well-being standard. It's not that Donald Trump did a
That's incredibly crazy.
it's not that Donald Trump did that didn't have the worst outcome. I think there was some great outcome there in the Middle East that was achieved, but the high resolution question is, how was that outcome achieved? What else was harmed in order to gain that achievement? Was the credibility of the United States harmed in any way to make these achievements? What is the rest of the analysis related to the Nobel Peace Prize? Because the Nobel Peace Prize is not given in a vacuum. It's not given like a monolith for this particular thing, discounting everything else.
Does want a lot of. He has wanted a lot of them. Nobel Peace Prize, right?
He has what? Sorry?
Trump has wanted a lot of Nobel Peace Prizes. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, he wants one really bad.
Yeah, I don't know as much about politics as you guys, but
he's gonna
Obama won one.
He's gonna
Obama
feel.
won one, and
He's gonna feel like inadequate. He's gonna feel inadequate as a man if he doesn't.
The soccer people gave him one though.
Yeah.
Like the soccer people, they gave him one. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a funny thing to say, like that Sam and that it was that it was over that. He's done that so many times, but yeah, I mean, Sam is a bit going too far into the certaintist area with that. You know what I mean? Because it's like people going too far. Like, I mean, at some point, I have to ask you to do Trump and Hitler, because that will show people Trump is not Hitler.
Yeah, of course.
So, you know what I mean? Like that would definitely be one. Yeah. Just to get the empirical grounding on it, you know what I mean, and not let our emotions fly us into the wind.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just kind of wanted to back it up a little bit.
No, that's fantastic. I also, someone's contributing some great stuff here on YouTube. Ross McGowan says Sam Harris would be willing to bend if an argument was of sound reasoning. The only exception would be on Israel or Islam. It's the only time I've found myself questioning what he says. Although on the Peace Prize comment, I think Harris was holding out on an olive branch. He does that from time to time. Yes, although like as a moral well-beingist, I wouldn't want to see the olive branch come as a sacrifice to our moral principles or underlying maxims that govern our moral quest. So, there's a way to talk about and say, you know what, Trump did Trump got a great result in the Middle East when many people might not have been able to. I would have completely thought that was a reasonable thing to conclude. And then, and that's apart from how he went about his business and whatnot, which we can criticize. But I think it's just an extreme take that I think was probably, it was very strange hearing that out of Sam Harris. And yes, I agree with this person, Ross, actually, when they say that perhaps he was throwing out an olive branch. The olive branch that came from Sam Harris was too thick and the fruit was too large, in my opinion.
Well, could you think it could possibly be audience capture? Because I've noticed that I listen to Sam. Like, I have a subscription to his podcast, and there are, he began to, over time, get more right-leaning people in his podcast. And it seemed like to me that he may have engaged in a little bit of audience capture.
Well, I think the people on the right who are interested in Sam Harris, like the center right, are those when Sam Harris starts talking about his concerns, which I share some of these concerns with regards to immigration and the radical Islamic world penetrating aspects of helpful immigration and causing harm in the terrorist way that the jihadists do. Sam Harris and I are very much in line with regards to this. However, I think some of these people who come over from the immigration conservative side, they're kind of more the center right people who have are very strongly anti-Islamic sometimes to the point of Islamophobia, and I've met them. Like, Islamophobia is a thing, but Sam Harris is not Islamophobic. But Islamophobia is like, when Don and I were doing the drawing Muhammad contest, and people were saying, "Oh, now you're going to have to hide for the rest of your life." That's Islamophobia. That's when someone has a phobia that's causing them to say, think, and do irrational things. Like, that is irrationality purely. Like, the logic of that just does not hunt. So yeah, anyways, lots to go over with Sam Harris. So Fallibilism, we've all given some scores here. Let's look at the analysis. I believe I gave him an 8, or as high as 8.5, but now
I
that
said 8.5, so
I thought and then Don gave a 7. I think Perry gave a 7.3 or something. I'm actually going to temper. I'm going to temper mine down with what's been said here. I've been convinced that the past 5 years of his career does deserve some examination and weight in this analysis. So I'm going to say 7.9 for Fallibilism for Mr. Sam Harris.
7.7 to 7.9, sure.
Okay. So here's the analysis. Harris frequently emphasizes the importance of evidence and reason, the fallibility of human cognition, the need to revise belief based on better information. He often frames moral and epistemic claims in terms of probabilities, engages in debates across ideological lines, critiques dogmatism, especially religious dogma. However, some critics argue that he expresses strong certainty on certain political or moral issues. His confidence in specific philosophical positions has drawn criticism from opponents. So supporting behaviors would be frequent emphasis on evidence-based reasoning, public discussions about cognitive bias and self-deception, willingness to debate ideological opponents. Non-supporting behavior, strongly stated positions on religion and geopolitics, criticism that some views are expressed with high certainty. So the summary is strongly fallibilist in epistemic framing, though occasionally expressed with confident rhetoric. The score here by the system is 8.4 out of 10. Okay.
Damn.
So, the question would be, is the system not giving enough weight to these recent occurrences? Like, if we asked it to do just the last 4 years, is the fallibilism score going to go down? Maybe so. But either way, the scores we're giving, the 7s to the 10s, this is still a sign of strong fallibilist framing.
Mm-hmm. Something for me to consider, I gave him a 7.5. I gave him a 7.5. I was very surprised. I came in a bit late, but I was very surprised at Jordan's fallibility score. So it may have behooved me to consider JP's, who I would almost certainly deem to be less fallible than Sam. So
yeah,
something to consider at the system rating scale.
Yeah, because something also to keep in mind, like this is a general view what the system is doing, and scientists, especially like academic scientists who are also like teacher, professor level, you have to be a fallibilist to survive. It's a career and field that you just don't survive if you're a dogmatist or an anti-fallibilist. So it's that's something to consider as we assess the general mean of scientists. Okay, well-being. Now, we all know that Sam Harris is, some of his main thesis is around well-being as a moral metric, which I definitely agree with. I think it needs to be made more concrete, which I think I've done with my conceptualizations of well-being. But I think Sam Harris understands well-being. I think he is someone who is maximizing well-being for himself and those around him in the world. So I think his well-being score is going to be very high. I could see him being an 8.5. So.
Yeah. Well, okay. You were the guinea pig. I was going to say allow me to be the guinea pig. So I would imagine that it's one of his highest scores. I think what did you say, 8.5? I think that's good. I would maybe even go a little bit higher. I think 8.5 is like a score that I would personally give, and then the score that I think it's going to kick out is even a bit higher than that. Now, I heard you and Thomas critique his well-being and call it, a bit low resolution. Again, I haven't read these guys, though I should. So, you guys would know more or less why it would be low resolution or not. But I mean, this guy has a meditation app. He's actually kind of jacked if you take a close enough look. So his physical health is there, mental health is there. I imagine that, he's got 2 kids, if I remember correctly. So even if he wasn't a social person, he'd probably be social by proxy, at least from his children. So I almost want to say 9, but I'll go with 8.7.
Okay. Fantastic. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I'm gonna just jump Perry one more time. I'm gonna do that 8.8. I think Sam is like, this should be his best category, actually, well-being. I think.
And just to throw this out there for the record, like in the moral landscape, Sam Harris uses well-being to refer to positive changes in conscious experience. I have big problems with this, and this is why I quibble about it being low resolution. It's not grounded enough in the facts of well-being. It is surely more connected to the facts of reality than what our experiences might be telling us. It's It's not enough. The constraints of the facts of physical, mental, and social health must be the most important focus. Just like how we would want to know, just because an old guy who comes into the doctor says, I feel like $1 million. Nothing wrong with me. I don't need the doctor, but my wife is forcing me to get these blood tests, and I'm like, to hell with it. But I'm 76 years old, and I still split a cord of wood every day. And then they take his blood tests, and they show that he actually has a malignant cancer that is very close to killing him. Conscious experience can't be the extractable method of how we're going to measure good in the world.
No, it's not. When I'm a hypothetical drug addict, and I'm having a shit conscious experience right now because I haven't injected heroin, and then I inject heroin, and I have a much more positive conscious experience. Sam Harris, is that well-being?
Right. So and he'll go on to say, I have some notes here, like Harris acknowledges that well-being, much like the concept of physical health, resists a single rigid definition because it can vary across individuals and cultures. So yes, it is true that a global concept of physical health might be viewed differently, like just for a lack of a better example, say in India, they might say that, no, this is the obesity line, not where they say it is in the United States of America or in Canada. So then there'll be arguments on particulars within the domain of physical health. But that doesn't mean that doesn't mean it is arbitrary, right? But Sam Harris does argue about like some of these objective facts, and some of my conceptualizations are born from some of his ideas of well-being. Like he does reference that there are facts about well-being, which people like Jordan Peterson want to dismiss. He doesn't want to acknowledge that well-being has facts attached to it. Jordan Peterson's more in the realm of like, no, well-being is like whatever is deemed so by the conceptualizer, kind of like art, right? But I think it must mean more than that, especially considering when well-being is questioned, we go to the medical sciences to get the answers.
Yeah, and Sam like tends to like put objective morality in that, like that.
Well,
you know, like
yeah,
like not objective, but there's objective things that are, you know, like he sees objectivity in some of those things that I kind of struggle with following him along on.
No, you're right. That's just a metaphysical error. It's a presupposition error. It's also an is-ought gap error. And I always say, if in fact Sam Harris is claiming he has solved the is-ought gap, which after all of my following of Sam Harris and reading his work, and you know, Alex O'Connor does a really good digestion of this on his channel, but I still think Sam Harris thinks that there is something morally objective about well-being as a moral metric, but it's not, it just isn't in the sense of the is-ought gap. You need to presuppose that any of this well-being that we're caring about is good. Well, once you do that, then yes, we can be objective about the metric, but you know, you do have to care about it. And Sam Harris will argue and say like, okay, well, put your hand on a hot stove and and leave it there and tell me that this is a good thing. You can't do it. You know, you have an automatic response to that being bad. And so that means this has something to do with the is-ought gap, but it just doesn't. It's a misreading, or typically I don't think it's a misreading, because I think Sam Harris understands it. It's a dismissal of the gap as meaningless, and saying that, see, there's no gap here, but that's not the gap that has been in reference. That is not the philosophical problem. So. Okay, let's. Did we give well-being score? Let's give some more well-being scores. We got to get through these virtues here.
Let's get it quickly.
Yeah, let's go.
Well-being. I agree with you. 8.5. I think Sam Harris spreads a lot of well-being, from giving to charity to. I know that people who subscribe to his podcast, or even who want use the app for free, just have to email them, and they'll usually just give them a free code if they can't pay for it. I know they will do that. I think he really cares about well-being. I'm going to give him an 8.5.
Fantastic. Who's next? Anyone got a higher score, lower score? Okay. Well, then let's move on to the analysis. Harris's work centers heavily on human flourishing, the moral importance of well-being, meditation and mental health, scientific approaches to ethics. His books and app, Waking Up, promote psychological well-being, mindfulness, compassion, and self-awareness. This is all like top-level well-being practice. This is the high-end stuff. It says, however, some political and cultural statements have been criticized as polarizing. Certain arguments about security and religion have drawn ethical criticisms. So supporting behavior, development of meditation well-being programs, public public advocacy for compassion and mindfulness, ethical framework centered on human flourishing, non-supporting behavior, controversial political statements, polarizing rhetoric in certain debates. Summary, one of the few public intellectuals explicitly focused on well-being as a moral foundation. Score 8.7 out of 10. Well, that, I don't know if there's much disagreement here on that.
That's pretty high, yeah.
That's pretty high. Okay, let's go to communication.
That's a bummer.
Oh yeah, go ahead,
That's
Perry.
a bummer. You did the one up, Robin. Ooh, instead of agreeing with me, and now it bit you in the ass. And now you don't win. Share the prize with me. Ooh.
Oh, what a shame. Okay, communication. Good faith and helpfulness are the minimum requirements for a fruitful dialectic. I think Sam Harris is one of the great good faith, helpful interlocutors out there. One of the greats. So I'm going to give him as high as a 9 out of 10 when it comes to this.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would say 9.3. I think Sam Harris, if you're misunderstanding Sam Harris, you really got to put your listening ears on. You're just not really, you're not at, it reminds me of years ago when the Young Turks said that he was pro genocide and pro using nuclear weapons because he talked about these hypotheticals in his books.
Right.
He's like, yeah, but I it's a hypothetical. I don't actually believe that we should do this.
Right.
So you have to make that type of error to misunderstand Sam Harris. He's a very careful speaker. And I think that is probably his stronger suit. I think that's what made him so famous, because he was able to deliver messages to people in a way that was clear, concise, understandable, and relatable.
Yes.
So,
and the way I couldn't agree more. And the way he thinks is in such an authored way. What comes out of his mouth is ready for the page. It's ready for print. It's just such a beautiful thing to listen to and observe. So I totally agree. Any other thoughts?
No, I do agree. He is a wonderful orator and a rhetorician, if you will. He does speak as though he's authoring. All you have to do is just watch the William Lane Craig versus his debate, him and that.
Yeah.
It is beautiful. So even though he's not hitting the philosophy, he's hitting the real human cost of the stuff, and it is very almost poetic the way that he puts it out. It's very good.
Right.
So
I'm gonna give him a 9.3, and that debate right there, he's probably when he completely deconverted me during that debate.
which debate? What was the other person's name? I didn't quite hear it.
William Lane Craig.
William Lane Craig. William Lane Craig is rambling on about moral duties and moral something other, and Sam just goes in there and doesn't even answer those questions. He doesn't even address any of that stuff.
By the way, the next episode, I think we should do public speaking theologians. I think that would be a lot of fun. It's going to be hard for us. I mean, a lot of us are atheists in the room here, so it's going to be hard for us, I think, to score. I think it's going to be harder for us to score those people. But who knows?
Yeah, Sam was a big part of my deconstruction, all the way through it. He, of all the Four Horsemen, he was definitely my favorite.
Brilliant. Parents, Mr. Perry.
Yeah, I didn't consider the communication virtue when I made the claim that well-being would probably be his best score. There's no doubt that, he is a wizard when it comes to public speaking, and he is certainly helpful and with sincere intentions when he's not trying to obfuscate in any noticeable way, unless he's just even more of a wizard at obfuscation that we can't detect it. So I'll go ahead and give him a 91.
Okay.
91%.
Okay. Fantastic. Let's go through the analysis here. So, and something just as a quick reminder to keep in mind, the assessment system that I have here draws from all available public debates and interviews, all available books and essays, all available podcast content, all available academic and journalistic commentary. Just to reiterate where this is coming from. So, okay, good faith and helpfulness are the minimum requirements for a fruitful dialectic. Here we go. Harris is known for long-form discussions with ideological opponents, a calm, measured speaking style, emphasis on reasoned dialogue. He often engages critics publicly, hosts guests with opposing views, attempts to clarify disagreements. However, critics argue he sometimes frames opponents unfairly. Some exchanges have become adversarial. Supporting behaviors, numerous debates with ideological opponents, long-form good faith conversations, clear and structured communication style. Non-supporting behaviors, accusations of misrepresenting opponents, occasional adversarial framing. Summary, strong communicator, committed to dialogue with some polarizing moments. So the score given here is an 8.1 out of 10. It feels low to me, but after reading and being reminded of how big Sam Harris has been in the adversarial religious debate domain, I think that perhaps is what's knocking him down, a point of where I think he should be. And probably a lot of that is because of my bias towards those particular kinds of conversations. But I don't know what you guys think.
I think it might weigh the critics' position a bit much.
Yeah.
And I think that in the moments where it does become, I'm thinking like who's been adversarial to Sam Harris. So Cenk Uygur has been adversarial to Sam Harris. Who hasn't Cenk Uygur been adversarial to?
I would say Ezra Klein, Noam Chomsky would be ones that are kind of, Lawrence Krauss for different reasons.
Okay.
I guess myself. I guess myself. I've been on the receiving end. But these are.
No, I changed my mind.
Yeah. So but I mean, an 8.1 out of 10 is what the frickin' Buddhist gurus are scoring with regards to communication. So who are we kidding?
True.
It's a fantastic score. And I think it still exemplifies what we were talking about, the brilliance of Sam Harris. I don't think it robs anything from that. And of course, this system is fucking as fallible as our assessments might be, right? So patience. Mm-hmm. Now we're on to patience, unless anyone has any other thoughts on that communication score. Patience. Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's pretty unanimous that all of us think he is an authored orator.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic score, 8.1. I think Neil deGrasse Tyson scored last night when we ran him. Yesterday when we ran him, it was like an 8.8. That was a mind-blowing score. So patience, ultimate patience, even in the face of detestable ideas. Is Sam Harris a patient man? I think so. I don't think it's as strong.
What about the Islam stuff? What about the Islam stuff?
Yeah. Although I think he deals with that stuff quite patiently.
I don't know enough about it. You know better than me.
I don't know. I mean, I'm a little. Usually in these moments when I'm torn, it's a 7.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm a 7 for patience on him.
I don't know the best number for this, so 7, sure.
I abstain. I have no idea how to even give a number on this.
Yeah, Robin says 8.2 in the comments for patience. Perry, do you have a patience score?
I find it super interesting. Oh, sorry. Was someone talking?
No,
My
go
phone.
ahead.
No, go ahead.
So, God, I just it's more than 7 for me in my limited knowledge. I'll go 7.8. I think that the same way that you can see Jordan Peterson grip his hands in a very impatient manner.
Yeah.
You can see Sam Harris taking breaths through his nostrils as to calm himself, which again, this strikes me as a very patient person, and so I'll go. He's got the meditation app, but yeah, I'll go 7.8.
Yeah. Okay.
Or 8.
Yeah. No. After thinking about this more, I think I'm underscoring with 7. I'm more convinced after thinking about it longer, hearing what Perry had to say, that I'm underscoring, and I think I don't know. I think it's going to have to do with some of the ways he deals with disagreements that may seem impatient and probably are impatient. So I'm going to bump it up to a 7.5, my answer.
Listen, you have far more data than I do as well.
Sure,
both
yeah.
with JP and Sam Harris. So.
And JP got a 6.8 based on this system for patients. I think that was pretty dead on. Okay, well, let's go through it unless anyone else has a score to throw out there. So ultimate patience, even in the face of detestable ideas. Harris often engages critics calmly, maintains a composed demeanor in debates, emphasizes understanding over outrage. However, he has occasionally shown frustration in public discussions. Some exchanges reveal how tolerance for ideas he views as reveal low tolerance for ideas he views as irrational or dangerous. Supporting behaviors: calm, measured debate style, long, patient discussions with opponents, focus on clarity and careful reasoning. Non-supporting behaviors: occasional frustration in debates, strong dismissals of certain viewpoints. Summary: generally patient and composed with occasional frustration. Perry, you saved my life because I made my update to 7.5. He comes in at a 7.6 out of 10. The system is saying here.
Hell yeah.
So Perry, right on. And I think, Don, what was your score?
My score, I was abstained.
Oh yeah,
I
right.
didn't really know how to think about his patience. I either thought to myself, I just wasn't really sure how to grade that.
You know what I've found with doing these analysis with patients is I found when I first started doing it, I was my bias in the analysis was that I was like, my initial knee-jerk reaction to it, analyzing it, was that, yeah, I mean, he might be a little bit impatient with that thing, but it's like he's referencing someone who's saying Muslims should be able to marry 9-year-old girls, and I'm thinking of it in that way, at least as my emotional knee-jerk reaction to the analysis. But now I've started to kind of okay, this is more about dialectical and presentation of patience, and true to the maxim, ultimate patience, even in the face of detestable ideas, like the ultimate test of patience. So, yeah.
I think this, your system, it seems like the fact that he, when you attack religious beliefs, we kind of see that in a different skew. I do. He's very patient with people. But I think that it seems like that the system is kind of penalize them somewhat for going on the attack.
No. I don't think so. Honestly, to
Oh,
be
really?
honest with you, yeah, I don't
know.
think so. I think it's being pretty explicit here. Like we can get it to show its work and give us the full like gold standard analysis, but when it says stuff like he occasionally showed frustration in public discussions, or some exchanges reveal low tolerance for views or irrational or dangerous, it's referencing, with regards to low tolerance, the emergence of how that affects his patients. So if he was, if he was showing low tolerance for the ideas, for ideas that are irrational or dangerous with his argumentation, which he often does, it wouldn't dock him for patience points. You know what I mean?
But I might should have said that it's not the system. I might be over grading him for that because
I hear you.
That's what I should have said, because I agree with him on these religious beliefs.
Well, and that's
but
what
if I was a religious person, I might take it down.
Yeah, okay. And that's what I was saying just a moment ago, that I was engaging in that kind of calculus too, to some degree. I noticed when I was, trying to interpret what the system was going to print out for people's patients. And then it was rightfully, I think, correcting me. Okay, lightheartedness. Refine and express your sense of humor. I have to say that my experience with Sam Harris, outside of intellectualism, like as friends, people who are friendly with each other, traveling on the road together and drinking in bars together and having food and just shooting the shit. Sam Harris is a incredibly lighthearted individual, but his public persona, what people see, much different from like how I mentioned Jordan Peterson and Richard Dawkins. What you see is what you get. I don't see Sam Harris's lighthearted nature shine through at all in the way I experienced it in my anecdotal, first person experience. So, that's something.
Yeah, he very seldom cuts a joke. I mean, he will usually one per debate or something, but like
I think
he doesn't do a whole lot of it. But I'm gonna give him about a 7.7.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I think
Don.
in his books he does do a lot of lighthearted things. The hypotheticals he uses for his books are very lighthearted.
Yeah, that's a great point.
He generally does a lot of funny jokes in them. I've noticed it from his books.
He's got a lot of wit.
I think
like he's really witty. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think I personally will give him like an 8 something in lightheartedness.
Okay.
I think the system's going to be a 7.5. I think it's going to weigh in a lot of the criticisms, and it's going to weigh a lot of the controversy he's been in, and a lot of the rhetoric and way that he's talked about people who he's disagreed with.
Right. Okay. Perry or Thomas, you guys got one?
I was migrating back and forth from the car to my apartment. This is lightheartedness that we're on.
Yeah. For Sam Harris.
So I'll stick with not infallibly, but I'll stick with my hypothesis that patience and lightheartedness are often correlative, at least within a point, a 1.0 score of each other. Let's go with no reasoning other than that. Let's do lightheartedness. Let's do. So many numbers are being thrown at me right now. I don't know what to choose. I'll go 8.
Okay.
And just make all the voices mad. I'll just do 8 flat.
How about you,
I probably
Thomas?
wouldn't be too far. Yeah, I probably wouldn't be too far off from 8. The Islam thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any lightheartedness
That's a big
about
one.
that at all. I don't know.
True. True.
But other than that, yeah, I mean, he's pretty lighthearted. I don't know. The William Lane Craig debate, was that lighthearted?
Yeah.
He trashed, like, talking about pulling kids' eyeballs out and stuff like that, and other, is that well-being, things like that. So it was pretty scathing. Yeah, 7. I'll say 7.
Yeah.
I want to actually redact. I want to redact my score after Thomas's analysis, but then I want to double redact it because he is pretty funny. I'll go 7.6. Like, he has a lot of humor.
Yeah.
So I'll go 7.7 actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, okay, to give my score, like, if I was scoring him based on how I got to know him, like on a personal level, I would give him a 9 out of 10. If I was to just solely score him on what's publicly known about him, it's going to lose a couple points. But of course, who I knew personally, that's going to bleed through in his work also, one way or another. I feel like it's probably, with all of that mixed together, it's like a 7.5. I would go with. Shall we take a look? Refine and express your sense of humor, lightheartedness. Harris's public persona is serious, analytical, philosophically focused. He does occasionally use dry or subtle humor, display light conversational moments with guests. However, humor is not a central feature of his communication. Tone is typically serious and contemplative. Supporting behaviors, occasional dry humor, light conversational moments in podcasts. Non-supporting behaviors, predominantly serious and analytical tone. Summary: some humor present, but seriousness dominates. Wow. The score here is a 5.8 out of 10. Now,
Insane.
it's like there's a difference between, and this is something I'm just thinking about right now that I've seen this, there's a difference between general lightheartedness and intellectual lightheartedness.
Sure.
What do we think, like someone who has never heard Sam Harris before, if they were like tasked to sit down and listen to, let's say, 20% of his lectures and read 20% of his books, would they find him to be dry and kind of humorless for the most part? I actually think that maybe could be the case. And I'm viewing this too much through the lens of like what humor looks like on the debate stage or the intellectual sphere. But
Like Destiny. Destiny's got good like humor in the debate scene.
yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and then the Maxim question about this is Sam Harris refining and expressing his sense of humor? Is there refinement? Is there expression? Well, the expression of it seems to be limited to some degree, even though we see instances of it. So, yeah, I mean,
That's fair.
yeah.
Still very low, but it corresponds with the analysis and your hypothetical. Like, imagine a person who knows nothing about him and then listens to like a debate that he had for 5 minutes, and then it's part of his meditation, like his monotone, boring meditation series. I could see that.
You know what I imagine is like sitting down with my older brother, who's not really into this stuff, right? Sitting down with my older brother and watching like the Jordan Peterson, Sam Harris series that we produced, and Sam Harris cracks a joke, and I'm like, and I'm like looking over at my older brother, and he's like, "What?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
No, for sure. Yeah.
and it's not even necessarily that it goes over my older brother's head, but he's like, yeah, so he corrected him. He said this thing. Yeah, like, okay, why is everyone laughing? Like, I can just imagine these kinds of scenarios playing out, I guess.
What you're telling yourselves, you just have a bad sense of humor.
I don't think that's the case. I mean, it's. I
Just Perry
immediately already
has
see
a terrible
Rand-
sense of humor.
That's all.
I mean,
Perry's very
Yeah.
funny.
that's
Yeah, for Sam Harris fans.
Hey, I'm
Yeah.
a Sam Harris fan. Sam Harris has a mocking sense of humor too. When he thinks something is funny or makes a joke, a lot of times he is actually mocking one of the other people.
Right.
I've noticed that too.
So,
Yes,
and that's
like one of the
yeah.
like that debate that he did with David Wolf and David Wolpe and the other rabbi and him and Christopher. There was a lot of that, like kind of like it's not. I mean, it's kind of funny, but it's more of still though kind of a mocking, like
Bullying, on the verge of bullying almost.
So
yeah, but Sam can't really be considered a bully. I don't think. Really. He's just-
So yeah, but that's something that it's going to come into play. If it's a one track kind of sense of humor, is the sense of humor very refined? Is there multidisciplinary engagements or dipping our toes in different aspects of humor? I got that sense from Sam when, like, because he could make a dirty joke, like a lowbrow joke, or just a couple of guys sitting around joking with each other kind of joke, but it didn't have to be this like always a sophisticated authored sarcastic or kind of monotone slam dunk joke coming out of him. Like, so yeah, I mean,
Variety is a skill for sure. You don't want to just appeal to. You don't want to just appeal to like the dry sense of humors like the Perrys of the world, right? So you have to be able to variegate your humor.
I think we just have to start with, you don't want to appeal to the Perrys of the world. just leave
That's
it there.
95% of the time that is a useful heuristic to live by. Yeah.
brilliant.
I think Sam is very mindful of his public persona, like too, on his like heartedness. Like he's got a brand that he has cultivated, and he tries not to steer away from that, probably in too much of a public way.
I would say on the almost certainly zero chance that Sam Harris will see this or listen to it, but I would say out of all of the Pangburn virtues and maxims, much like Jordan Peterson, I would want to encourage Sam Harris to let that light-hearted nature, that true essence of himself that I noticed privately, away from cameras, away from the stages, allow that to shine through and let people see that, because there's just so much power there that I think his fans, followers, listeners are being robbed of. And for whatever reason, and part of it is that he probably has too heavy-hearted of a relationship with the work he's doing, like so many intellectuals. Like Richard Feynman is like the gold standard. Richard Feynman is his brilliance has not caused him to view his work heavy-heartedly. It doesn't do that for him. And he allows the lightheartedness to add inspirational power and enjoyment and playfulness to how he teaches. And Neil deGrasse Tyson is actually very similar as well. Guys like Carl Sagan. But Neil deGrasse Tyson is actually, he's a master of lightheartedness and intellectualism.
We could do this next time that you do the theologian speakers, like you said you were going to do. I'd love to see what Christopher Hitchens is.
Oh yeah. Hitchens, I've ran him before in this system, and it's just overall a fantastic score. Okay, we're to virtue 6. We're at the end here, final virtue, and then we'll get the overall score. We'll get some final thoughts, and then that'll be the end of this live stream. We've been going for almost 3 hours, and Thanks for everyone for being with us. Anyone who sees this later, let us know what you think in the comments section. Let us know what you think about the scoring. I have a lot of fun doing this. This provides me with a lot of inspiration when we talk about let art and science inspire, which is the maxim for inspiration. What we're doing here right now is how I let science and the art of the dialectic inspire me. So thank you for joining us.
Love you.
Love you guys. Okay, inspiration. How much does Sam Harris let art and science inspire in his life?
8.
8?
I don't know, man. Moral Landscape is pretty inspiring for the time that it came out and stuff. I don't know, 8.3?
Yeah. Does Sam Harris have a strong relationship with art in some way? I mean,
Art and science.
yeah, there obviously science is through the roof. We can look at the art of the dialectic, the art of the art of teaching.
The art of the deal.
The art of the deal. We all know he loves Donald.
Sorry.
Yeah, Thomas, I'm right.
By the way, the entire world, Robin loves Donald Trump.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Robin fantasizes about a naked Donald Trump.
Yeah. Watch it, Travis. Like this is one thing me and Sam are like in uniformed agreement across our scope on like our opinion of him.
Trump obsession syndrome.
So this is inspiration. I'm not gonna give Sam a lot of inspiration. I did like I like the Letter to a Christian Nation, but I think he
remember, guys, just one thing, Robin, before we give our scores. This virtue, and it's something I have to point out all the time. It's not just us right now, but this virtue refers to how inspired the individual is by art and science. How inspired, do we have evidence to suggest that Sam Harris is living a life inspired by art and science?
I think he's definitely inspired by science, yes. So maybe I should give him a higher score. Maybe a 8.2.
Okay. I'm going a 9.5 for me, but
wow.
Yeah.
The villains really do get the high score, don't they? So I was going to ask during the JP portion of this, it's art and science. Those are two different things. JP really seems to be inspired by the art, in my opinion. You could make the case, like you said, like he's psychology, neuroscience, all that good stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But let's just let's just imagine that he's more inspired by art. Now Sam seems to be the opposite, where he's more inspired by the science portion. Let's say, how do you go about scoring? Let's say someone who has total 10 out of 10 science inspiration, but 0. Just
well, here's an
absolute
example.
Horrible. Do you get a 5 on that, how does that score?
Think of Leonardo da Vinci, right? How inspired he was by the arts and sciences in like a total way. That is a person who is a 10 out of 10. I've ran him multiple times.
For both.
I was going to say he's 11 probably.
So he gets he gets a 10 out of 10 when I run him on my maximum virtue. So it's hard to nail it down, right, Perry? Like it's sometimes I think it wants to see evidence that there is some kind of artistic inspiration in their life, not only scientific inspiration. I've seen people who are like, they've never even mentioned art in their entire scientific career, but they still score like a 7.5 or a 7.8 by the standards because their scientific level of inspiration was so high. But they wouldn't be an exemplary, like an A or an A plus score in that virtue, simply because I would suggest, based on my formulation of the maxim, that they missed out something by not having art inspire in their life.
Sure.
Sam does talk about going like into caves and like doing the mystical experience and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like that would have to be something into inspiration too, because like he'll talk about going in there and doing his meditation and coming out with some sort of mystical experience, and sometimes it makes me feel like almost woo, he's he's wooier than I am.
Yeah. Well, okay.
So I'll go with 8.7, and I may have just now also thought of another maybe critique for you, but let's hear other scores before I take up any more time. I'll go with 8.7.
Okay. Any other scores on inspiration?
None. I mean, he's made an empire with the moral landscape, not like in a bad way, like an empire. You get what I'm saying? I used the wrong word there.
Yep.
So, a legacy, if you will.
Yep. Definitely.
Yeah, and it's a good one. I like that he's promoting the medical model of well-being.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yep. None.
The art of meditation. Don, did you have a score for this one?
D.
Did we lose Don? Oh.
Double D.
No, Don's just locked in playing his rock climbing game. No, I think there he is.
There we go.
Oh, he might have not been able to.
That got his attention at least.
What are you doing, Don?
He was sleeping.
That's
okay.
Don's recovering from a sickness, everyone. So don't be too harsh on him. So
never be harsh on me, my lovable face.
So, okay, the analysis here for inspiration. Harris is strongly inspired by neuroscience, philosophy of mind, meditation, traditions, scientific ethics. His work integrates science, philosophy, contemplative traditions, psychology, supporting behaviors, academic background in neuroscience, public advocacy for science-based ethics, integration of meditation and psychology, non-supportive behaviors, some criticisms of oversimplifying certain scientific or philosophical debates. Summary, deeply inspired by science and contemplative traditions. His score is an 8.9. So a lot of us were in that realm.
I thought so.
I thought so. Thomas, you were right, dead on. And I overshot that a bit. I thought it might score him higher, but it is what it is.
We are aligned with him well-being. We just
we
want to profess it better.
Yeah, exactly. So just to recap quickly, Jordan Peterson scored overall a 7.3 out of 10, giving him a B+ letter grade. Living, has carved out wisdom for his life by these standards. Is living the good life at a B+ by these standards. And Sam Harris gets an overall score of 8.3 out of 10, which is an A-. That's right, Don. An 8.3 out of 10. Yeah. Strong alignment across most virtues, especially well-being, fallibilism, and inspiration, with moderate weakness in lightheartedness. So, if he had, if he allowed his lightheartedness to shine through, I think it would bring him to those true guru levels by these standards. But any other thoughts, guys, on these comparisons?
Pretty comprehensive right there.
Sam Harris beats Jordan Peterson by a pretty good margin here.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not surprised.
I think if you guess, he's pushing the well-being model. You know what I mean? So
if you guessed within 0.3, I think that you got it right.
Oh yeah. And
so I was going to say,
go ahead.
On art and inspiration. Now, are we going by your definition of art, which is whatever is deemed so by the conceptualizer. So does that mean it's Sam's conceptualization of what he deems to be art and whether he's inspired by that? Or is it the ChatGPT's interpretation of what art is? Is it yours?
Yeah,
like,
this is
a
great question, because my conceptualization is in there along with many other common conceptualizations and academics. So mine is included in there, but it's a cornucopia, as you like to use, of different conceptualizations. Yeah, that's a great question.
That's what Thomas said, and I completely stole word cornucopia from Thomas, by the way.
You should take
wherever
it.
he
It's a
does.
great
Whenever I think of cornucopia, I just think of your beautiful blonde golden hair.
too.
And it makes
It does kind of look like cornucopia.
It does.
I think of cornucopia, I think of a corny joke.
Nice. Well,
so
I am going to leave this episode live, so it is going to hit all our subscribers. So if anyone makes it this far, first of all, you're insane. Second of all, you get a 10 out of 10 in all Pangburn virtues and maxims, and now you are a god. There you go. But we're getting so excited for our upcoming big event day. We got 2 massive debates happening in the same day coming up in London. And of course, it's going to be Destiny versus Constantine Kissin on the big stage, and the preliminary debate, the pre-show debate between Stephen Woodford of Rationality Rules versus Glenn Scrivener, going at it on the topic, does religion poison everything? And this will be our first religious debate, atheist versus theist debate, since Alex O'Connor versus Dinesh D'Souza, which has soared over 1 million views since we did this. Average view duration of 35 minutes on that video. It's such an impactful, important discussion. Read the comment section on that video. It's fascinating. I mean, there are very few people that think Dinesh D'Souza did very well to defend the Gospels that night, and Don and I were both there. And yeah, go ahead, Don.
I do have to say, very importantly, with all the shit Dinesh gets, every single debate he's done on Pangburn has been a fucking blockbuster.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Dinesh is big time. A lot of people don't understand this, but Dinesh doesn't come out to these things for nothing. He makes an incredibly large fee because what he does is very impactful politically. That's part of the reason why when he takes the stage on the Pangburn stage, things blow up and people become very interested. And it was a perfect storm between, him being a classic old school debater from the Hitchens era, the new atheist era, debating all those guys, and a lot of people became big fans of Dinesh D'Souza through that. But Alex O'Connor came out that night in the Bronx and knocked Dinesh the fuck out. Not forever, but he knocked him the fuck out on stage intellectually. I believe, and I like Dinesh, and him and I are very friendly with each other, but I think Alex O'Connor knocked him the fuck out. I hope one day we can bring those two back together for round 2, and they can perhaps do something like more related to the existence of God, or maybe that we can talk ethics or something like that. I think it would be really cool. But yeah, I really appreciate Dinesh for stepping up to the plate. He just went toe to toe with Destiny defending his bro Trump. Dinesh and Trump are very good friends, so he took on the task, came into the beehive and did his best against Destiny. So Destiny's been on a Pangburn stage tear, and now he's going to go head to head with a very crafty, wise, intellectually sound, I would say, virtuous. He actually, Constantine Kissin, I just did a virtue analysis scorecard video between Destiny and Constantine Kissin, and Constantine Kissin scored a bit higher than Destiny. It was very, very close, neck to neck, but So by the standards of the good life, in the Pangburnian sense, Destiny's got a bit of crawling up that ladder to do. But I love this matchup. I think it's going to be one of the best, if not the best, conversation we've ever produced. I truly believe that. It's under-anticipated. It's undersold for how brilliant I think it's going to be. But, you know, in the true Pangburnian way, we're going to make it happen. And you're all going to get to see this brilliant conversation. And I really know it will be. So thank you all.
If you're watching this and you live in the London area and you have yet to buy a ticket, it is your duty, because you've made it 3 hours into this live stream.
Exactly.
You live in the London area and you watch 3 hours of this. The fact you're not buying a ticket to this show is absolutely absurd. And by any well-being standard, virtuous that you've gone, go away the second you don't buy this ticket. But if you buy this ticket, you are indeed cementing in your 10 out of 10 A+ Pangburn virtue.
Yes, you get a direct pass into the cult of A+ Pangburnian virtue if you buy a ticket right now for 5 minutes only. No percentage off. But yes, thank you guys.
You
Thanks,
guys are
Robin.
scoring a 2 out of 10 on communication
we
by
are.
being insincere in your intentions.
We're scoring
a 10 for lightheartedness and humor.
We're scoring a dirt snake out of
Yes.
10. We're scoring a dirt snake out of 10 right now for communication and well-being. But thank you all so much. Thanks, Robin. Thanks, Perry. Thanks, Thomas. Thanks, Don. Thanks, Mace, who was here earlier. I really appreciate it. I love doing these. And as always, let art and science inspire your damn life. There we go. We're off.
I had such the urge to just yell the N-word at the end.